Chapter 59-54. From time to time, he looked at Jian Wushuang and Bru, and wanted them to intercede. Worry about being liquidated by Dan Bao. Thinking of just grabbing Dan Bao's collar. The Lord of Hengmu wanted to slap himself twice. He couldn't figure it out himself. Why was he so bold just now that he dared to question Dan Bao? It's too late to regret now. Jian Wushuang ignored the eyes of Lord Hengmu, because he didn't think Dan Bao would make it difficult for the Lord of Hengmu, because of this kind of thing. And from the dialogue between the king and Whis, he knew that the role of God is to create rules, not simply kill. Otherwise, there is still something wrong with them. The Realm King is here, and any threat can be settled. Still need them to struggle here? After cleaning up the many powerhouses in the Immortal Temple, Dan Bao's Dharma phases condensed and gathered above the altar. Became a god. The deity is broken and transformed into the appearance of a god. He walked out of it again. It's just that what comes out is the avatar. Erratic like a shadow. But no one dared to underestimate the current Dan Bao. Stronger than ever. The phantom of Dan Bao holds the scepter of life and points to all beings. The force of life also erupted in the Temple of Immortality. For a time, everyone felt the powerful vitality from their bodies. Those scattered calamities at this time are only one source away from resurrection. That is, when Dan Bao truly became a god, they could embark on the real road to resurrection. The burst of life force. Not only does it benefit everyone present, even the fallen temple powerhouses began to recover at this moment. It was originally confiscated by Dan Bao, but at this moment it was rekindled. After the restoration, the powerhouse of the temple has undergone earth-shaking changes. Just like metal life. Just the colors are different. Those who recovered had green armor on their bodies. There is also a letter size on the chest. God! Their eyes turned green. Vitality flooded the whole body, and instantly returned to its peak. The combat power has also reached its peak. Wait, see my lord. After the recovery, the powerhouses of the temple bowed down one after another. Their vitality and consciousness have changed. Dan Bao stood in front of everyone with a majestic look on his face. Rise! Whoa! The original 3 gods, as well as the top 10 generals, together with 99 8 Tribulation Realm powerhouses, got up one after another. The words on their chests also changed a bit. Handsome general soldier. This type of font makes Jian Wushuang's expression move. Immediately, I thought of the font sizes of the pieces on the Guantian chessboard. Then think of the identity of Dan Bao now. In his mind, a humming sound suddenly sounded. Watch the chessboard. It's not as simple as he thought. This treasure, related to God. At the same time, he also thought of the identity of Teacher Xianyi. Teacher Xuani, who can give this treasure to him, may also be a god. Immortal Temple. The word immortality represents eternity of life. So what does this sky-viewing chessboard represent? No matter what he thinks, this sky-viewing chessboard is not suitable for him. Moreover, the strength of the pieces in the chessboard is incomparable to that of the Temple of Immortality. The origin of the chess pieces of the handsome name in the Guantian chessboard is also in the 8 Tribulations realm. However, the chess pieces of the general size are much weaker. The commanders, generals, and soldiers manipulated by Dan Bao's Immortal Temple are all in the realm of 8 Tribulations. After having a complete vitality, those recovered soldiers have the top combat power of the 8 Tribulations realm. The Temple Messenger of the name will have the peak combat power of the 8 Tribulations. The 3 gods have the ultimate combat power of the 8 Tribulations. However, there are no gods. In his sky-viewing chessboard, there are chess pieces with the name of God. But the background of the Tian chessboard is not as good as this Immortal Temple. This made him a little puzzled. It was obvious that something had been spied on, but it was impossible to find it. Teacher Xuani. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and said in his heart, "What are you planning? What is the function of this chessboard?" After he arrived at the Lord of the Universe, he only used the chess pieces on it, and has been unable to truly mobilize the inner source. The Temple of Immortality represents life. Relying on this calculation, then the chessboard represents the way of heaven. But what he cultivates is not the way of heaven. Heaven is the only one. In fact, it is one of all things. It's just that all things in him have been transformed into life. There is only one connection with heaven. The Tao of heaven contains more, such as heaven's secret Zen mechanism, destiny and so on. It's all different from his kendo. There are myriad things. And he has always been the only one in the way of swordsmanship. Even if he has mastered the 10,000 ways, it is also an assistant to the swordsmanship. The effect of this sky-viewing chessboard on him is to rob armor, as well as comprehend and devour. Now I have figured out a way to remind myself, which is to create life. Use the internal source pieces to calculate your own way. In the future, he will have to ask Dan Bao about the operation of the immortal temple, and maybe he will be able to draw a scoop according to the gourd. Learn something. He is now holding the skywatching chessboard and using it as a fire stick. It is a waste. Looking at Dan Bao's amnesty for the world, he also yearns for it. Now the powerhouses of the temple are all included in the pill and sit down. For a time there are many talents. On the contrary, these people are like a burden. Jian Wushuang also looked at the great monk intentionally or unintentionally. It was found that the other party did not have that sense of crisis. But he was very happy after Dan Bao achieved this position. Guardian? It's true, the stronger the little master, the happier they are. But from the other party's eyes, Jian Wushuang saw a little bit of greed. The immortal temple originally belonged to Dan Bao. It also comes with so many so-called angels. Disciple. The role of guardian is very redundant. Moreover, the Real King did not mention much about the protector at the beginning. He became wary of the big monk and started. God. That was the place where his demons were originally. The great monk is by no means so simple on the surface. Must be on guard. Having suffered too many losses, Jian Wushuang does not want to overturn again. Moreover, the matter of his general bureau has developed to this point, which has always been unequal to his strength, and is very powerless. Not bad in the infinite world, he is the key combat power in several battles. Whether in the Roman River, or in the Dragon God continent, he's had explosions, but after entering Wanlu Divine Realm, his role became smaller and smaller. Said to be roaming, he is more like a passerby, a witness. Witness a legend. Dan Bao overlooked the crowd and walked slowly with a scepter in hand. Standing on the edge of the temple with his back to the crowd, he said indifferently, "Get up, all of you. And then I have to deal with Metal Life and Baby Emperor. My deity is broken, and the Dharma body can't leave the temple, and I need your help. I am willing to follow the gods." The Lord of Hungmu took the lead in shouting. Afterwards, everyone also got up together. But they stood sparsely, like a group of rabble compared to the neat messengers of life on the left and right sides of Dan Bao. Said to ask them to help. But there are so many super powerhouses here, and they will be used. That is to say, the Shinmu King and the Great Monk still have some uses. End of this chapter. Chapter 59-55. Incarnated as the Dharma sign of the God of Life, Dan Bao's character is becoming more and more indifferent, and he has a new understanding of life. Very different from the previous character. When they looked at Dan Bao's back, they felt a sense of loneliness. That is a kind of loneliness after grinding, and it is also the loneliness after reaching the top. So much so that when Blue looked at Dan Bao, he felt a strange feeling. Wu Li is also the same, thinking that he used to touch Dan Bao's head often. But now he gets dizzy just seeing Dan Bao's back, not to mention touching each other's forehead. This is transformation. They are used to this kind of thing. After all, what stage did it come from? Just like Jian Wushuang now, looking back to see those former partners, such as Zhenliang, the former emperor. In the past, when you saw each other, you would feel oppressed, and you would also respect yourself. Seeing the other party now, Jian Wushuang can call out the other party's name at will. No pressure at all, because the two have reached the same level. Even Jian Wushuang is even more powerful. Even if he respectfully called Zhen Wuyang, the other party would feel a little unbearable. Under normal circumstances, Jian Wushuang is the peak combat power of the 7 tribulations realm. The peak state can reach the top of the 8 tribulations realm, a master of the universe of the 5 tribulations realm. He was almost scared to move when he saw him. Not to mention the honorific Perhaps, some people think this is disrespect. In fact, this is the greatest respect. It is also the potential that increases with the strength they are used to it. As for the face of the king, or Weiss, Jian Wushuang did not have heart palpitations. That was because of the fearlessness of ignorance. You can't even catch the breath, so it doesn't matter. Able to have a casual conversation. A powerhouse like Weiss, or a god really leaks coercion. I'm afraid he is also speechless. After all, the Almighty who can change even the supreme rules. This has exceeded Jian Wushuang's imagination. That is the power beyond calamity. According to what the King of Realms said, the appearance of the God of Life will give birth to the real Nine Tribulation Realm, as well as the super powerhouse who breaks through the Tribulation Realm. That also shows that the Nine Tribulations Realm is a bottleneck. It is possible to achieve a position side by side with God. That's why it's so hard to get there. Of the 9 dimensions, only 3 exist forever. These 3 existences are all related to the Realm King. There is a high probability of being stuck in the 9 Tribulations realm. In other words, the rules of the northern time and space are not enough to support them. That's why it's so mysterious, and it's almost never done. Also very low-key. The top powerhouses are still the masters of the 8 Tribulations realm universe. Once the God of Life appears and breaks this rule, perhaps there will be many ancient existences in the future northern time and space. What they do now is the future. At this moment, Jian Wushuang also regained some sense of existence. From the week to the present, it has been step by step. Follow the path of your predecessors. Until now, it is really amazing that they have been able to participate in the creation of the cultivation path. Looking at Dan Bao's back, he also felt admiration from the bottom of his heart. Now I have absolute confidence in the face of Baby D, or Metal Life. Immortal Temple standing above the sea of cosmos. This is their most relaxed time. Even easier than hiding under Dan Bao's shield of life. Because of those life messengers, they don't need to worry at all. Qi Jiuxiao is here, and they have the ability to block it. Jian Wushuang took a step forward and followed the appearance of Dan Bao, standing on the edge of the temple, looking at the breath that came from a distance. The huge breath swept the universe sea. It's the spaceship of Babidi. A behemoth, shimmering with shadows, came from a distance. In the blink of an eye, it flashed countless times. The breath had already arrived in front of him, but he had not yet seen the cosmic boat. It was only a moment later that it really came. The speed is so fast that the power of matter has not yet arrived, and the breath has already arrived. The spaceship hummed down. Baby D couldn't wait to take Qi Jiuxiao and jump down. At the moment they arrived, a triangular phantom appeared in the sky in the distance, shattered the space, and also descended. It is Metal Life. It's all here. Jian Wushuang frowned. If they were besieging one side, they would still have that strength, but fighting Metal Life and Qi Jiuxiao alone would be a bit difficult. When Dan Bao saw it, the corners of his mouth rose, and he was a little overjoyed. It's easier than finding them one by one. This time, he wants to eradicate these scum in one fell swoop. Rubbish in life. The garbage of nonchalant space. Baby D also found the breath of Metal Life, turned his head and spat, and was very disdainful of this. The silver pyramid is suspended in the void, with a posture of sitting on a mountain and watching tigers fight. Metal Life is also life. And he is also a super strong from the southern time and space. How could he be a fool? He knew the purpose of these people from the metal puppets he enslaved. He knew that Dan Bao and others were trying to destroy him. But he also understood that Babidi and others were trying to kill Dan Bao. Tripartite gathering is not a closed loop. Metal Life is to transform the entire Wanlu Shenmu, to capture the ocean of divine power here, and breed countless metal warriors. So he is not in a hurry. The one who is anxious now is Baby D. Dan Bao also has absolute confidence. Only Babidi is the most urgent. Silver Pyramid, Temple of Immortality spaceship. 3 flying treasures levitate. Just looking at the level, it is still the Silver Pyramid of the Temple of Immortality and the Metal Life, which is stronger. But the single combat power the strongest is Qi Jiuxiao. Metal Life cannot leave the pyramid, and the divine power contained in it is only attacked by the pyramid. It is not enough to threaten Qi Jiuxiao, But it is extremely dangerous to face Qi Jiuxiao alone. Neither did his metal golems. At most, it is the peak combat power of the 8 tribulations. It's not enough for Qi Jiuxiao to slaughter alone. But all of this is Qi Jiuxiao himself. Babidi does not have any combat power. At most, it is comparable to the general lord of the 3 tribulations realm universe. Although his methods are somewhat special, his combat power is among the crowd like air. Once you find an opportunity to deal with Baby D first, it means that there is no threat. Qi Jiuxiao is a top fighter. Intelligence equals 0. Metal Life quickly made a plan and made a surprise attack on Baby D. It is much simpler than confronting Qi Jiuxiao head-on. Babidi didn't know that he was already being watched. He stood in front of him with his waist on his back and taunted at the crowd in the Immortal Temple. This time, there will be no more accidents. Then he turned his head and glanced behind him and said, Emperor Soul, it's up to you. Yes, the Soul Heaven Emperor held several small flags, which were directly sprinkled on the surrounding time and space. The small flag fell into the sea of cosmos. Just a moment. The waves of the cosmic sea began to solidify and turned into ice. End of this chapter. Chapter 59-56. Space is also condensed. Time isolated. Jedi Tiantong. Great formation fell. I really can't run away this time. Babidi cut off everyone, including himself. There can be no more surprises. The Metal Life in the Silver Pyramid was also taken aback when he saw that Baby D was so decisive. So hard. He is from the South Dimension. In the eyes of others, he is Wan Liu's greatest threat. There is terror. But in the Southern Time and Space, he was kicked out like a lost dog. Secretly sneaked into the Wanlu Shinmu, just to become stronger, and then wash the shame. Returned to the Southern Time and Space. Now I see that Baby D is so determined. Suddenly there was a touch. It seems that each of them is extremely arrogant and extremely wanton. But they are all fighting. All have hidden meanings. So does Babbitt. Although he came from the starry sky, his background was extremely bleak. It's a dead pet. Enslaved. Especially being enslaved. That kind of torture had already made him crazy. If you don't become a god, you become a devil. He must stand at the top and wash away the shame of the past. Kill. There was endless anger in Baby Dis' eyes. And when he pointed it out, Qi Jiuxiao turned into 1,000 feet and stepped out. Danbao retreated to the core of the temple, raised his hand to shake the entire Temple of Immortality, and said angrily, Destroy! All the messengers of life on the Immortal Temple are all dispatched. A full 100 people, Shinmu King, and the Great Monk also shot at this time. Together they encircled Qi Jiuxiao. As for Jian Wushuang and the others, they can only watch. The battle begins in an instant. Qi Jiuxiao alone fought against 100 people in the 8 Tribulations realm. Among them are the 4 strongest, Jiang Wuya 3 people, and Shinmu Wang. Huge moyen vines descended, surrounding Qi Jiuxiao. Clouds move everywhere. The fight pierced the space-time of the cosmic sea and produced countless black holes. Each is an entrance. Everyone held their breath. The battle was extremely fierce. It exceeds the scale of the ancient moon space-time, from ancient times to the present. Hundreds of 8 tribulation realms battle. Not to mention the ancient moon time and space. It is rare in the entire northern time and space. That is to say, the appearance of some unique secret realms will cause hundreds of experts from the 8 tribulations realm to gather. The key is that these powerhouses come from all sides. Not a river of time and space. Not like they are now. Hundreds of the 8 tribulations realm's top combat power. Among them are the 8 tribulations realm extreme powerhouses. Qi Jiuxiao is comparable to the divine power of the 9 tribulations realm. It exploded directly to 20 million. A casual blow has already been able to severely damage the peak powerhouse of the 8 tribulations realm. The 99 top powerhouses of the 8 tribulations realm in the Immortal Temple merged into a great formation, transformed into gods and demons, and their bursting strength reached the half-step 9 tribulations realm. The 3 gods cast peak secret techniques. 3 Qis in 1. Led by Jiang Wuya. Also incarnate in the half-step 9 tribulations realm. The 10 great generals headed by Chao also began to merge. Their fusion technique uses a strange treasure. Jian Wushuang and others have not seen it. Handsome general soldier. Handsome is the Jiang Taishu. After the 3 qi are unified, it will be the fusion of Luoyang, led by Chao Bing, is the Nantian, led by the southern Saint Dharma King. The 3 bodies of gods and demons each burst out the breath of the half-step 9 tribulations realm. From contrarian, back to advantage. It was also the first time that he began to suppress Qi Jiuxiao. The big monk and Xinmu Wang were a little confused for a while, and they couldn't keep up with the rhythm all of a sudden, so they had to help by the side. The people in the immortal temple looked at it with enthusiasm, and said excitedly, "This time we will win." No wonder Danbao will be so calm. It turns out that there is a countermeasure. It's not that simple. The corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth rose. He was also very keen on the power of life, and found that there was a faint green light around the Temple of Immortality. That is the realm of the Immortal Temple. In this field, as long as Qi Jiuxiao couldn't kill Jiang Taishu and others in one fell swoop, then they would not fall, and would be recovered by Danbao after being injured. Simply immortal. Half-step 9 tribulation realms combat power. These 3 ultimate life messengers are almost invincible. Consumption can also consume Qi Jiuxiao to death. Unless it is a real 9 tribulation realm powerhouse, it can be broken. But now the most powerful single is Qi Jiuxiao. But it is comparable to the 9 tribulations realm. They are really going to win this time. Everything is over. Jian Wushuang couldn't hide the joy in his heart. So do the rest. After fighting for so long, I finally saw hope. Danbao continues to grow and become stronger. Defeat Qi Jiuxiao, leaving a baby emperor like heir. There is no threat whatsoever. Finally, there is the metal life. With the immortal temple, you can suppress the opponent. Everything is going in a good direction. At this time, Baby D was a little panicked. Qi Jiuxiao's current potential is developed to the extreme. There is no hope of rising. If he still can't win, he really has no trump cards to use. How could it be like this? Babidi frowned, with disbelief in his eyes. His panic made the sole heavenly emperor behind him see it. Even Babbitt panicked. Now is the time of life and death. Inside the silver pyramid, the internal structure is extremely complicated. Countless tiny particles are running regularly. Looking around, countless metal particles are manipulating the entire pyramid. At the heart of the pyramid, it has a half figure. The whole body is black. The surface is smooth. There are arms, a chest, and a head. It's just that they don't have clear facial features like ordinary people. This black figure has only one hot eye on its face. Beneath the figure, the endless sea of divine power gathered. Countless metal particles are using the divine sea water to create this black puppet. And the consciousness of metal life exists in the eyes of the black puppet. Jia Jia in the hot eyes, a miniature puppet walked out. It's a pity that such a powerful life is controlled by a waste. The miniature puppet is the metal life from the southern space. There is still a light brain in his head. That is his true consciousness. And even the miniature puppets are the incarnations he created. His strength is actually very weak. Similar to Babbitt. It's just that he can create extremely powerful puppets. Life power. With 2 things he is invincible. Numerous metal warriors have been bred. And powerful metal golems. He is the best. The black metal puppet at the moment is his pinnacle. It's only half done now. And it's just a shell. Only when the entire sea of divine power is used as the divine body, and the source of life of Wanlu, as the source, can it reach its peak. At that time, he had the real combat power of the 9 tribulations realm. He will also be personally manipulated by him to return to the largest capital in the South Dimension. But right now he sees no hope. Qi Jiuxiao will lose sooner or later. Then it was his turn. End of this chapter. Chapter 59-57. The combat power of his subordinates is not as good as Qi Jiuxiao. Although they can protect themselves, there is also the risk of being suppressed. Once suppressed, Danbao can comfortably set foot on the ladder of becoming a god. At that time, he will become the of life in the northern time and space, and monopolize the entire Wanlu Shenmu. He kicked him away with one kick and threw him into some space-time cracks at will. He really became a lost dog. No, I must not lose. There was determination in the tone, and then turned around and entered the hot eyes. An order has also been issued. Originally prepared to deal with Baby Dis' plan, he turned to the Immortal Temple instead. He felt that the Temple of Immortality was also similar to that of Baby Emperor. They are all strong from the outside. Taking advantage of the current peak combat power, they are all fighting against Qi Jiuxiao. It is completely possible to arrange for his subordinates to attack the Immortal Temple. However, the Temple of Immortality is different from a spaceship. The defense of the spaceship is very fragile. The defense of the Immortal Temple is still relatively strong. More combat power is needed. Top 10 puppets enslaved alone. It's not enough. He also needs endless metal warriors. A more perfect metal warrior than those metal crawlers. Mighty power. Just one aspect. Metal reptiles are very powerful, but have no defense. No matter how many are bred, they will not be able to enter the Temple of Immortality. So he has to nurture a more powerful life. Otherwise it will be a waste of money. Golden Armored Warrior? Okay, it's just you. The metal light brain kept flashing, and soon a perfect Golden Armored Warrior was created. Divine power is fixed at 15 million. The defense ability is comparable to the top cosmic treasure in the 7 Tribulations realm. The top powerhouses in the 8 Tribulations realm need a few tricks to smash them. The sum of the divine power contained in the body is enough to fight a peak powerhouse of the 8 Tribulations for a few breaths. Very perfect. Just in time for his own defense ability. There is no waste of divine power. After the first Golden Armor Warrior was conceived, the second one is automatically generated. Then came the doubling of mass production. Soon 3,000 were born. It's almost there. A thought force came out of the metal light brain and summoned the top 10 metal puppets and ordered, sneak attack on the Immortal Temple. Only success and no failure. When necessary, you can self-destruct. Snapped. The micro-optical brain felt that it was not perfect enough and took out several crystals of divine power from the hot eyes. This is the divine fire source crystal. When it explodes, all 10 of you must activate it. Try to get as close as possible to that pill treasure and explode yourself. The top 10 metal puppets nodded together. No nonsense. The order has been given. Let's go immediately. All in one go. This is the puppet. Perfection is being calculated all the time. Unlike practitioners, there are various variables. The Silver Pyramid is still a long way from the Immortal Temple. In order to ensure the perfect factor of the plan, the metal life first used the pyramid to quickly approach the Immortal Temple. And then a dark hole appeared under the pyramid. In an instant, the top 10 metal puppets, with 3,000 gold armored warriors, appeared around the Immortal Temple. Rush, hum! All the metal warriors burst out, rushing to the Immortal Temple desperately. Just as Jian Wuxuang reacted, he quickly stepped back. Not because of fear, but because he was worried that he would accidentally injure himself when Danbao made his move. The sneak attack of metal life had long been expected by them. Danbao is invincible in the Temple of Immortality, so they are not worried at all. Some people even just stared blankly. The Golden Armored Warrior, just approaching the Immortal Temple, was fixed in the air by Danbao. The vitality was drained in an instant. Just like the original 3 gods and others, the vitality has disappeared, but the power is still there. The scepter in Danbao's hand tapped again, and those golden armored warriors regained the power of life. It's just that the power of Deshengmen, obtained this time, is different from the injection of metal light brain. They also changed their consciousness. Completely obey Danbao. It can be said that in a breath of time, these metal lives are turned against. It's simply an unstoppable soldier. Those golden armored warriors and silver puppets who were under control instantly turned around and rushed towards Qi Jiuxiao. Did not directly go to the pyramid shot. Danbao also knows that the pyramid is special. If the attack power has not reached that level, it cannot be destroyed in one fell swoop. It's a waste of time to go. It is better to besiege Qi Jiuxiao first. Qi Jiuxiao, who had been struggling to deal with the life messengers of the 3 half-step 9 Tribulations realm, was besieged by thousands of golden armored warriors, and the divine body began to suffer some damage. Divine power is also constantly declining. It's right now, go for it. Jiang Taix's three energies were unified, and the surface of his body was filled with ethereal power. He blessed the peak of divine power, raised his hand to shake the sky, and shouted angrily, "It's now!" Countless wings and blades turned into a sea of swords and rushed towards Qi Jiuxiao. This power is enough to kill the half-step 9 tribulations realm, and it is extremely difficult for Qi Jiuxiao to resist. Forced to resist will only drop the divine power. He has no life force to supplement, and now he needs to carry the injuries himself. Baby D looked anxiously from the back, but had nothing to do. How could it end up in such a situation? Qi Jiuxiao is invincible. Baby D clenched his fists with unwillingness in his eyes. If it doesn't work, then die together. He was determined. It's just that he didn't realize that the person behind it had murderous intent. That killing intent was not against the immortal temple, but against baby emperor. Killing intent leaked from his eyes. It is the sole emperor of the eternal family. Although he was enslaved, he still had this eternal consciousness struggling in his mind. Waiting for this opportunity, Qi Jiuxiao couldn't separate his hands and was consumed all the time. He is now shooting at Baby D, and almost no one can stop him. Dylan is only a peak of the 7 tribulation realm, and he has the combat power of the 8 tribulation realm. You can kill with a flip. What we are waiting for now is to get rid of Baby D's control, kill Baby D in a sneak attack, and transfer to the immortal temple. This is his trump card. If Baby D wins, then there is no need to use it. After getting enough benefits, for example, after embarking on the road of resurrection, it is not too late for him to get rid of it. It's just that now the boat of Baby D is broken, and he doesn't want to die with Baby D. To take refuge in the immortal temple, you also need to show some sincerity. For example, kill Babbitt. As long as the baby emperor is dead, Qi Jiuxiao will be an ownerless thing. Just a lunatic. There is no threat to the immortal temple. Although it's not a big credit, it's just the icing on the cake. But better than nothing. The eternal family never be a slave. A flame rose in the eyes of the Soul Heaven Emperor, like an ancient demon escaped from the cage. The moment he got rid of it, with lightning speed, his hands instantly gathered qi, condensing a colorful light wave. Light burst. End of this chapter. Chapter 59-58. Even if his heart was on Qi Jiuxiao, Baby Emperor had reacted, but it was too late to react now. As soon as he turned his head to look at the light behind him, he felt a breath of death descending. As soon as the protective cover on his body was opened, the Heavenly Emperor of Soul blasted through his chest, a paw sticking out from his chest. It was all too fast, and the people around didn't have time to react. Just as Dylan was about to make a move, he was shot down by Soul Heaven Emperor and fell into the Sea of Cosmos. As for the other servants of Baby D, they stood there unable to move. Because of the current Baby Emperor, consciousness is dying out, and the mark of slavery is also disappearing on the slaves. They all have a clear consciousness, and they also know that Baby D is going to be finished, and there is no need to do useless work. At first they were also forced, but later, because of the hope of resurrection, they chose to compromise. But as Qi Jiuxiao shriveled, the value of Baby Emperor was greatly reduced. If it wasn't for Emperor Sol Tian to kill Baby D, maybe they would die with Baby D. How dare you? Baby D's last breath was used to turn his head to look at Emperor Soul Heaven. His eyes were fixed on the other side, and there was endless resentment in his eyes. Unwilling. Main idea. Regret. In an instant, more images appeared in my mind. The eyes cannot see reality. It was a memory before death. Remember the most important things in your life. He also has the most tragic memory of his life. An old man with a rounded hat held an iron chain in his hand, and the other end of the chain was tied to Baby D. Pet. It was his saddest memory. Puff. Emperor Sol Tian pulled out his claws, clenched his fists and slammed it on Baby Emperor's head, and the memories came to an abrupt end. It's just that in the incomparably distant downstream of time and space, in a certain ordinary secret territory, there is an old man who is fishing. At the moment when baby emperor fell, the old man's heart sank, and his eyes were dull for a moment. It was only a moment of sluggishness, and then returned to normal, without any extra expressions. The fall of baby D, in the end, only touched the death of life a little. It is also ironic. The most tragic memory is also the last worry in the world. A generation of heroes, baby emperor fell. Murderer soul heaven emperor. Jian Wuxuang and others standing on the edge of the temple also saw this scene. A little dazed for a while. Just as he was able to suppress Qi Jiuxiao, baby emperor fell. The expressions on his face were strange. I don't know whether to be happy or sad. The big monk's face was startled. And then he said excitedly, "Little master, baby emperor has fallen. There is no need to encircle and suppress Qi Jiuxiao. Lost the of Babidi. Qi Jiuxiao does not need to be besieged, and has fallen into silence. Let the siege of the 3 life messengers be unmoved." Dan Bao directly summoned the 3 messengers to come back. The 3 messengers that have been merged can no longer be separated. In other words, when Dan Bao sat down, he now had 3.5 steps of the 9 tribulation realm combat power. For a time, become the biggest winner on the scene. The great monk and the king of Shimu also returned leisurely. It will be over soon. The last metal life. There is no way to escape now. Standing in the void, at a loss. The inner metal light brain kept calculating his winning percentage and the method to defeat Dan Bao. After a while he came to a conclusion. The chance of failure is 99,999,999,999. Done. The chance of falling is 30%. When Dan Bao becomes the of life, the chance of falling is 100%. The only way to break the situation now is for him to ascend to heaven and become the 9 tribulations realm. This is simply not possible. If he can become the 9 tribulations realm, does he still need to come to the northern time and space? Still need to think about this, Wanlu Shinmu? Damn you! The metal light brain looked at the outside of the pyramid. The Mitsubishi crystal above the pyramid burst out with a dazzling light, rushing straight to the Emperor of Chaos. If it weren't for this 2nd or 5th boy, he wouldn't have failed so fast. The dazzling light penetrates time and space, enough to kill the peak of the 8 tribulations realm. The Soul Heaven Emperor didn't have time to react at all, and was bombarded and scattered. He didn't even respond before he died. I'm afraid I don't even know how it fell. Together with those servants of Baby D all fell. Only the huge spaceship remained in the sky above the cosmic sea. The fall of Soul Heaven Emperor lifted the blockade of space. This is also one of the reasons why he wants to kill the Soul Emperor. Space unlocked. Metal light brain. There is still hope of escape. The Mitsubishi spar rotates, and the surrounding space vibrates to escape. Dan Bao did not stop the shot just now, because he felt that the people of the Soul Heaven Emperor were not worth it. But now you can't let the other party escape. The Immortal Temple moved directly to the top of the pyramid. Suppress! Dan Bao pressed the palm of his hand, and the power of the Immortal Temple erupted, locking the pyramid within the domain, and suppressing it in the void. The silver pyramid stopped spinning, and was suppressed in the void. Dan Bao did not stop, and then used the life scepter to forcibly break the pyramid. Leave nothing to chance. The force of life madly got into the pyramid. This makes Metal Life very excited. You reading www.akanshu. In the face of a steady stream of life force, he kept absorbing it. Divine power ocean, he has stolen a lot over the years. What is missing is the power of life. With these life forces, the black puppet he refined began to improve continuously. Once it is successfully refined, it is a puppet no less than the 9 tribulations realm. There is still some hope then. At least Dan Bao that can block the Immortal Temple. The crazy influx of life force made the metal light brain a little too busy. Countless metal particles are busy. Above the Immortal Temple, Dan Bao continued to instill the power of life. Jian Wuxuang didn't understand. The power of life didn't have much power, and it was mainly assistant. Just like eating. Is it to let the pyramid die? The metal life inside is no fool. Once you are full, vomit it out. Anyway, there are a lot of divine power oceans, and there are countless metal reptiles spit out. That is also a hassle. Although I don't understand it, it's not a good idea to ask. After all, Danbao is covering them now. He is the master of the Six Tribulations realm universe. So he is embarrassed to ask such a thing. Just look at it honestly. Just when he was belittling himself, Danbao turned his head and said to him, "Benefactor, there is something that needs your help later." "No problem." Hearing that he needed his own help, Jian Wushuang immediately became refreshed. Without any hesitation, he immediately responded. Unexpectedly, Danbao's next words made him stunned. Danbao firmly supported the power of life with both hands, and then said, "This pyramid is strong on the outside, but if you want to destroy the things inside, you need a special power, and that power only you have." Starry Sky. Jian Wushuang quickly understood. End of this chapter. Chapter 59-59. This is not surprising. What surprised him was to go inside the pyramid. That is the metal pyramid that can give birth to countless 8 tribulation realms. Let him enter alone. It's not like being sent to death. Even if Dan Bao was using the package ticket, he was a little apprehensive. "Jian Wushuang, you must enter. The treasure I need is inside this pyramid." Just when Jian Wushuang hesitated, Weiss in the body also spoke in this time and space. "It's really a good thing to let him encounter. It's not easy, it's almost over." It happened that he found another unknown to him. But then again, he can't help but go. Plus Weiss' commission. He could only grit his teeth. Seeing that he was hesitant, Wu Li came over, put his arms around his shoulders and comforted. "Brother Wushuang, you are not afraid. Don't you worry. I will meet you outside. If you need any help, just say, with the strength of our company, Qi Jiuxiao has been taken down. So what is there to be afraid of?" "You." Jian Wushuang's eyes widen, causing Wu Li to quickly back away. It's time to talk nonsense. He really wanted to give Wu Li 2 punches to boost his courage. "Call." Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang closed his eyes for a moment, then opened his eyes and nodded at Danbao, indicating that he was ready and could open the silver pyramid at any time. If you don't enter a tiger's den, you can't get a tiger's son. Weiss, every time something is arranged for him, the pressure is always full. I don't know what kind of place this pyramid is inside. The treasures that Weiss needed were actually among them. Of course, that is Weiss himself is too lazy to take it. If he takes it himself, he will have nothing to do with him. The reason why he was allowed to go was because he wanted to find an excuse to teach him the Zai Ji Gong. Otherwise, it is unreasonable for both parties to accept grace for no reason. Jian Wushuang is not a fool either. Some things are understood without needing to be said. The Tower of 9 Tribulations, at best, is a treasure at the level of the 9 Tribulations. It is not a treasure at the time and space level. In fact, it is a bit general to say the treasure of time and space. The Temple of Immortality, in his opinion, also looks like a treasure of time and space. But it is a treasure of life, and it is an opportunity to become a god. Viewing the chessboard is a treasure of heaven. The 9 Tribulations Pagoda is much weaker than these 2. Even compared to this silver pyramid, it is much weaker. Kevin is in there. It was Weiss who gave the Tower of 9 Tribulations the value. The appearance of Weiss has always been strange to him. At the beginning, he was still in the Tower of 9 Tribulations, and later moved directly into his origin. Just like playing. Calling it a test is actually no different from helping for no reason. He never understood the other party's intentions. If he was chosen as the of life, there would be some arguments. In other words, the god of life, and even the realm king are nothing in front of Weiss. The bigger the identity, the more outrageous it is. The more uneasy he is. Heaven will give great responsibility to the people of this country. Maybe he thought too much. But not without any preparation. Waiting for Danbao to open the gap in the silver pyramid, his origin clone entered Weiss Manor, and after finding Weiss, he took the initiative to ask, "Master Weiss, this metal life, I think it's just like that. How come you want to be here? Treasures you want?" Gu, who was lying on the chair, teased the hairless purple cat in his arms, his face lazy. See the doubt on his face. Then he answered, "Since you are about to enter, then I will tell you that in the core of this pyramid, there is a piece of origin. which I left behind in Wanlu Shinmu. The original owner of this piece of origin is you, but unfortunately, you're not good enough. You can only give it to this cat. Ah! Jian Wushuang was surprised, tilted his head and couldn't believe what Weiss said. But there was no reason to believe it. The other party could even change the supreme rules. What else could he not do? The origin left for me? He thought of a lot of things for a while. Weiss' plan. And why Wanlu appeared here. Weiss nodded lazily and spread his hands. Some things may be just luck. Before I met Beerus, I was really optimistic about you. But unfortunately I found out later that the reason I was optimistic about you was because of you're the first life in the origin universe. So you are out of luck. That has nothing to do with me. Jian Wushuang was a little puzzled, saying that he did not live up to his expectations, and he worked harder than anyone else. Seeing that he was unconvinced, Weiss covered his mouth and chuckled. You care too much about your origin universe, but you don't work so hard with yourself, so you don't live up to your expectations. I'll send you the young man. In your words, you should be a little more dashing, and whether it is to follow the origin or divine power, you must have the kind of heroism that can break through all methods with one force. Daojin to Emperor. Jian Wushuang really values his origin too much. In terms of combat power, divine power has always been the dominant force. But it is always necessary to pursue both. Seek balance. Even want the source to press the divine power. But in the end, Super Eternal Change and Starry Sky Catalog. All are indispensable peak secret techniques. Sometimes you can't pay too much attention to a certain kind of power. What he has to do is to improve his combat power and realm, rather than a certain kind of origin and divine power. If a flower is helpful to him, then practice that flower. If it is a cloud, then go and realize that cloud. Cultivation is sometimes as simple as that. Find the right direction, let go of your worries, and leave everything to your own efforts and luck. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded, and at this moment he was no longer unconvinced. Beerus is the first life born in his original universe, and he is also the creator of the other party. In the future, when the other party has achieved success, he can also brag about it. It's no big deal, you'll be fine in the future. Why envy a cat? And it's not hairy yet. After getting his own answer, Jian Wushuang's origin clone automatically summarized the universe, and his consciousness returned to the deity. On Dambao's side, the power of life is also instilled, and the endless power of life pours into the silver pyramid. Today's pyramid is already a little green. The original color has been changed. Metal life divine power. The metal is silver. Life is green. The two are fighting for dominance. Now the metal light brain in the pyramid has also discovered Dambao's conspiracy, but when he wants to stop the operation of the pyramid, he finds that he can do nothing. Jian Wushuang also saw Dambao's plan outside, and couldn't help applauding. Dambao has really grown up now. Life force and metal life are constantly competing for superiority. Want to gain control of the pyramid? There was also a trace of anxiety on Dambao's face, which was backlash. Click. The unbreakable pyramid suddenly made a crisp sound, and then a gap leaked out. Dambao was overjoyed when he saw the gap. Quick, it's now. Chapter 5960. Swish. Jian Wushuang, who had been ready for a long time, rushed into the crack in a flash. The sword of myriad tribulations behind it also erupted with the power belonging to the starry sky at this moment. It turned into a dark blue streamline and entered the interior of the pyramid. Metal Light Brain was startled when he saw the blue Jian Wushuang and hurriedly rushed into the eyes of the black puppet. Want to forcibly start this puppet, but the power of life contained in the current puppet is all Dambao, no matter how he manipulated it. After Jian Wushuang went deep into the pyramid, he let out a wicked smile, raised his hand to draw his sword, and destroyed it. Countless metal particles wanted to attack him, but they were all shattered by the power of the starry sky. Without the metal puppet, the black puppet cannot be mobilized. Metal Light Brain, completely helpless. He could only beg for mercy. Jian Wushuang, stop now. You are the master of the universe, you don't need to fight like this. And you don't need to be reborn. I can give you a lot of treasures, and I can help you become the 9 tribulations realm. Jian Wushuang ignored the opponent. The sword chi persists for a long time, and it kills arbitrarily. The more urgent the other party, the safer he is. It means that the metal light brain has no backhand. Can only beg for mercy. Damn, how can I fall? The worst plan that metal light brain had thought about was that Dan Bao would fall when he became the of life. He could close his eyes when he died in the hands of the of life. But to be killed by a cosmos master of the 6 tribulations realm is simply a shame. Click. Some special conversion passages connecting the pyramid were also destroyed by Jian Wushuang Yijian. The metal light brain completely lost hope, and the black puppet also stopped working at this moment. When it was running, he couldn't manipulate it, and now he couldn't. For the metal light brain, he now has nowhere to hide. Jian Wushuang held the sword of myriad tribulations upside down, took a step forward, and came directly to the black puppet, stared at the eyes that dimmed from the red light, and said coldly, "Come out. I can make you look decent." If it wasn't for the lack of time, he really wanted to ask the other party what Nan Shikong was like. Because from the Realm King, he knows other time and space, which is different from the northern time and space. He came out of the primordial universe, and arrived in the ancient moon spacetime without any barriers. It is because the northern time and space are all practitioners. South time and space are different, where the practice method is not only different from theirs, but even the life is different. So he was a little curious. The metal light brain was about to cry. He dragged his mechanical feet and walked out of the black puppet's eyeballs. Jian Wushuang, I remember you, you must not die. Can't afford to lose? Jian Wushuang never expected that after the other party came out, he would say such a sentence. After all, he is also a powerful man with a head and face, which makes the king of the realm find it difficult. As a result, the first time they met, they started cursing. If the opponent wins, he has to face death generously. Never so foolish. Simply shameful. Curiosity about Nan Shikong disappeared immediately. Just want to fix each other and leave. The metal light brain went completely crazy and fell into madness. You will definitely die, I swear. Thanks, I'm waiting. Jian Wushuang was somewhat amused by the other party's words. He had heard such words no less than 100 times. Then what? No one could kill him. But this time it's different. Before he could make a move, Metal Light Brain chose the divine power Vulcan crystal that exploded within his body. The huge explosion turned the inside of the pyramid into ashes. This explosion can kill the peak powerhouse of the 8 tribulations realm. If Jian Wushuang was not prepared, he might have really fallen. In the dust, a green light enveloped Jian Wushuang unscathed. That is Dan Bao's shield of life. Completely covered his entire body. Is this the backhand? Jian Wushuang laughed at himself. That's too weak. Just when he was relaxed, he found that the black puppet disappeared. He searched everywhere, but couldn't find the black puppet. The tenacity of the black puppet left no scum that could not be destroyed. Jian Wushuang was a little worried, and after searching around for a while, he found 2 soft armors and some identity tokens. Shiqi Shirba. They are the 2 7 tribulations realm powerhouses of the Stone Country. At the beginning, they also entered the Wanlu universe with them. It's just that they have a lot of strength, only more than 1 million divine power. Follow Lianxing. Jian Wushuang didn't care too much. Later, after the Shinmu King brought people out of the secret realm of the cave, he was no longer in sight. He thought he had fallen. Seeing their soft armor and identity token, there is a high probability that the Metal Light Brain is controlled. Metal Light Brain can enslave up to 10 metal golems. Among those puppets, there are no Shiqi and Shirba, the 2 strong men of the Stone Country. Jian Wushuang was sure, because after those metal puppets were angry, they did not change their appearance, but their skin color turned silver. That is to say, Shiqi and Shirba, the 2 Stone Country powerhouses, have been under house arrest in the pyramid by the Metal Light Brain. It should be normal to be destroyed now. But why is the black puppet gone? His doubts turned into surprise in the outside world. The destroyed pyramid has no power. Just an ordinary metal treasure. can be opened at will. When he went out, he discovered that there was a black hole outside. The people above the immortal temple showed strange expressions when they saw him. Returning to the Temple of Immortality, he understood only after Wu Li and others explained it. Something came out of the pyramid. 2 streamers. 2 figures. Stone 7, Stone 8. Before the metal light brain exploded, the last order was issued. The origin and divine power in the black puppet were all transferred into the 2 people. Just like the threat to Jian Wushuang. After the 2 went out, the goal was to kill Jian Wushuang. Black puppets have the power of robbery. Shi and Ba, who had high hopes from the metal light brain, had combat power comparable to the 9 tribulations realm. So this time it wasn't a verbal threat, it was a real threat. After going out, it is very likely that they will be chased and killed by these 2. Wu Li and others don't know much. But Jian Wushuang thought of what he said before the metal light brain exploded, and he already had guesses. But now in Wanlu universe, and Dan Bao is about to go to the ladder of becoming a god. He didn't care about these things either. Instead, he was more concerned about the origin that Weiss wanted. A piece of purple origin. After handing it over to Weiss, Jian Wushuang also obtained the first half of the Zizai Gong as he wished. After looking at it for a long time, I found that I couldn't understand it, so I carefully put it away. And after I went out, I slowly cultivated. The immediate priority now is to go to the ladder of becoming a god. So I didn't talk to Weiss too much and left. Above the Temple of Immortality, 3,000 golden armor guards, standing in the quartet. 10 silver armor puppets lined up aside. Chapter 59-61. Light of God. 3 life messengers, standing behind Danbao. This force can already dominate the ancient moon spacetime. King Shenmu and the others were very excited. The good days had finally come. They had tried their hardest in front of them, and now they are unrestrained and natural. The great monk, the ladder of becoming is left now. Hurry up and take us there. The Lord of Hongmu was also very relaxed, and was already waiting to become a messenger of life. The big monk blinked, twitched his nose, and walked towards Dan Bao, and said respectfully, "Little master, the ladder of becoming is in the source of the core of the universe. See, we are going now. Without the threat, naturally there is no need to wait. Let's go now." Dan Bao raised his head and moved his scepter. The immortal temple immediately shattered time and space, and began to move. As for the broken silver pyramid, it has been taken away by Jian Wushuang. This is a good treasure, and naturally it will not be thrown away. There is also the cosmic boat of Baby D, but it was taken away by the quick-witted Shenmu King. The biggest trophy is Qi Jiuxiao. It was eventually suppressed by the Temple of Immortality. No more talk. Maybe when Danbao becomes the true goddess, he will recover again. This is the fear of all of them. The immortal temple is constantly moving, under the guidance of the great monk. They soon reached the true core of the cosmic sea, the origin of the willow tree, a place where the source of life inspires. The ladder of becoming is inside. They can even be seen with the naked eye. The power above is close to God. Just watching will benefit them immensely. The Temple of Immortality stayed on the edge. Jian Wushuang looked at them with fiery eyes. But unfortunately, they were not qualified to set foot on this ladder of godhood. Otherwise, for the power of life, he can still go to the next level. For the source in the Guantian chessboard, he can also create the most powerful life. Last step. Danbao rose into the air. The Dharma body, which was unable to leave the immortal temple, can move at this moment. He slowly walked out of the temple, and stepped into the ladder of becoming a god. The entire Wanlu Shenmu was trembling. Ancient Wood Continent. Above the Wanlu divine realm, countless strong men have gathered to station. An era has passed since the king of Shenmu brought people into the Wanlu Shenmu. The superpowers stationed in the outside world are not only the 9 heavens and 10 places, but also some of the universe masters of the 8 catastrophe realms in the 9 great time and space. The Lord of the Universe from the ancient Moon sect also sat here for hundreds of millions of years. They are all waiting for the Shenmu King and others to come out. After a period of silence, Wanlu Divine Realm suddenly shook the mountain, An array of divine light rose up. The super powerhouses stationed here stepped out of the cave one after another and looked at Wanlu Shenmu. Are you going out? Divine light. New era. Everyone held their breath. Are waiting for something. The three ancient existences of the northern time and space are also watching the movement here. A new era will come when Danbao becomes the of life. That is the era that belongs to all practitioners. It is also the era when the robbery realm truly breaks through the self. Rebirth era. They don't know that in order to open up this era, many people have left their lives. At the cost of blood. Above the 9 dimensions. On the realm. After seeing the movement of Wanlu Shenmu, the realm king was also shocked. Heart cannot help but sigh. His northern time and space is also about to embark on the road of resurrection. More powerful practitioners will be born in the future. Finally, it's time for business. The realm king let out a sigh of relief. Being the master of one time and space is not that easy. Not much power, not little position. Without ability, strength is not enough. This is the realm king. Speaking of the god of life, he is also his subordinate. But it is not that simple to come up with a god of life in the northern time and space. It's not something that can be done by simply pulling someone up on the street. It requires a step-by-step plan, pulling one hair and moving the whole body. On Jiawang's star, Jiawang is not alone. There is also an acquaintance of Jian Wushuang. Usual. Seeing that the king's expression moved slightly, he quietly stepped forward and asked, "Old man, what's going on down there?" Jian Wushuang and others spent several epochs in Wanlu Shenmu. The outside world has passed an era. The original 10 people, each achievement is not small. Among them, there is also the help of the king, such as Wuxia. It was even accepted by the realm king as a direct disciple. It was also sent to the world god continent. Now he is the lord of the universe of the 7 tribulations realm. Originally, according to Wuxia's character, he was going to return to Qi Temple for a long time. But he was kept pressed by the king. Now Wuxia also sees it clearly. Dear, this chapter is not over. There is another page, big smiley face. The realm king's plan is no trivial matter. The matter of Qishan Temple is not that simple. The threat of extinction is far less so. Fan Tianfeng and the others who had returned to Qi Temple all fell. Which flame god, the top combat power of the 8 tribulations realm, just went to a dharma body, but it fell together with the deity. Because of this incident, there was a lot of noise in the ancient moon spacetime, especially the ancient wood continent. The Shenmu king went to Wanlu Shenmu. The flame gods fell. Only the ancestor of Shirgua remained, and that old ancestor was also unlucky. It is the beginning of a new era. The powerhouses from all sides gathered in the ancient wood continent. Shirgua also lost its former color. Not long ago it also died. On today's ancient wood continent, only the Lord Yunji of the daughter country and the re-established female emperor of the Yu kingdom were supporting the facade. As for which of the ancient moon divine sects Fengho experts, they have long since been transferred. In the current Guma continent, Pope Guyu is personally in charge. Not to mention the 7 tribulation realm. Even the 8 tribulation realm is very common. They are all waiting for the appearance of King Shenmu and others. This is also the news that the realm king deliberately released. Through the 3 ancient existences, all the robbery powerhouses were notified. The opening of a new era lies in the Wanlu Shenmu. The appearance of the Shenmu king is the opening day of the era. And that era is called the era of resurrection. Not only all the tribulation realms, but also the realm king himself is extremely excited. Hear Wuxia's question. He narrowed his eyes slightly and asked incredulously, "Aren't you in a hurry to return to the Qi Temple?" "Don't worry, you will be able to go back soon." "Is this true?" Wuxia couldn't believe his ears. He thought he heard it wrong. Huichi Temple. The original 10. Only he and Fan Tianfeng have different feelings for Qi Temple. Because he is a disciple of Qishan. Although it is a named disciple. But it is also the only named disciple still alive. Now that he is practicing Mahayana, he has no reason not to go back. He wants to revive the former glory of Qi Temple. The powerhouses who led the Qishan Temple lineage created a huge territory in the northern time and space. The way of the god of Qi remained forever. It's true, but you have to wait for your partner. The Realm King affirmed. Wuxia heard the word partner, his eyes flashed, and he turned to look at the king. Jian Wushuang. These years. He has been to all the 9 worlds. End of this chapter. Dear, this chapter is over. I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 5962. Knowing that the 10 of them all descended after Guyu time and space. He has been wandering in the 9 heavens and 10 places of the ancient moon space-time. Also found a few people who came with him. It's just that those people have no feelings for him, nor are they very familiar. He couldn't find Jian Wushuang and Hui Qing who were familiar. Not even Zhenmiang was found. Only Dongsheng, Wanyan and the backbone Luo and Guangying were found. Tongtian Buddha is reluctant to see him and is still concentrating on completing his ultimate calamity. I don't want to break my mind. For these people he also gave some help. If the weakest is the Lord of the 6 tribulations realm universe. After all, with the help of the Realm King, although they encountered many disasters, they also received a lot of goods. In this way, the original 10 people, except Fan Tianfeng, were more unlucky. Can only say too anxious. Fall early. The rest of the people are doing well. Compared with Jian Wushuang, each is not bad. Jian Wushuang, who was still struggling in Wanlu Shenmu, knew that the original 10 people, except for Fan Tianfeng, who was envied at the beginning, had fallen, and the rest of them were similar to him, or even better than him. The heart must be broken. It is true that he has suffered too much. Click. Wuxia clenched his fist. Brother Wushuang, you will be surprised when we meet again. Before leaving Qi Temple, Jian Wushuang was the strongest. Then there is Fan Tianfeng. He is in the middle on the left. It's different now. Whether it is knowledge or realm, he is at the forefront. In addition to not seeing Jian Wushuang, it is Hui Qing. He also asked the Realm King, where is Hui Qing? It's a pity that the Realm King didn't tell him, and didn't let him look for it. When it's time to see, it's bound to be seen. The time has not come. Ancient moon time and space. Inside the ancient moon ruins in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. I also felt the changes from Wanlu in Ei. At the core of the ruins, under the shadow of the crescent moon spring, a man and a woman sat cross-legged. When I felt the divine breath from Wanlu, the closed eyes slowly opened to the Qingling woman who was sitting, and there was a trace of tears in her eyes. Is this life? She was a little unwilling. The of life appeared. Her plan also failed. With the god of life, the life of the northern time and space will have the imprint of life. Those lives that once fell are really fallen. She can no longer rescue the young figure in her heart from the long river of time. For that shadow, I don't know how much I paid. A flower on the other side amazed the original northern time and space. In the end it ended up like this. Look at yourself emerging from the spring. Tears rolled down his cheeks. She is the goddess who opened up the ancient moon time and space. A celestial being who tries to create a second starry sky. Eventually fell. The rest of the source is here. I want to live a second life. But with the opening of Wanlu Shenmu, the last hope was lost. The man opposite the goddess is no one else. Shaved head, jade face. Thick eyebrows, a pair of bright eyes, extremely tough. Hui Qing. Heaven returns to one. Today's Hui Qing is not like a Buddha, more like a pure cultivator. When he saw the haggard-faced goddess, he sighed in his heart, not knowing how to comfort him. Over the years, he has been helping the other party to regain his original heart. Now Wan Liu's plan is broken. Everything turned into smoke. It's time to get out of here too. Master. The goddess stood up and bowed deeply to Hui Qing. But when she got up again, her face had changed to Jiang Shang. If one day, you can control the way of heaven, when you see him, help me hand this thing over to me. She held the spring water in both hands, and a flower on the other side was in full bloom. A flower withers, a flower blooms. Hui Qing was a little moved, and wanted to reach out to pick it up, but couldn't bear it. After taking this flower, the goddess disappeared, leaving only Jiang Shang. A Jiang Shang who has lost the memory of his past life. But the other party's mind was very determined. There is no way to recover. He could only reach out and take the bright flower. I watched helplessly as the figure of the goddess disappeared into time and space. Wanlu Divine Realm has not yet opened. The ancient moon ruins began to crumble at this moment. That is true silence. A complete ruin instantly turned into fly ash. The crescent moon spring, the continuous mountains, and the countless secret realms of the cave have all turned into a fleeting sight. These things should have disappeared. It is only because of the obsession of the goddess that it lasts forever. At the moment when the goddess disappeared, they were all buried with them. Hui Qing looked at the other side flower in his hand, and then looked up into the distance. In the endless dust, only he and this flower are spotless. He'll do it. Hui Qing put away the other shore flowers, and his body burst into light. One step at a time. All things in one breath. In just an instant, from the emperor to the lord of the universe. Over the years his realm has long been reached. Because of the goddess he suppressed it. Helping the other party to restore Taoism is also his practice. The goddess failed. He didn't lose. Road. Always there. At the moment of mastering the universe, the 7 colors of the sky will fall together. Over 7 calamities at a time. Even more than Jian Wushuang. Like Wuzhua, he also entered the 7 tribulations realm. The disappearance of the ancient moon ruins did not cause much movement. The monks in the formation thought it was strange, but the news about the 8 tribulations was very extensive. It has long been known that the ancient moon ruins are short-lived, not worth entering at all. The treasures that drifted out from the ancient moon ruins also dissipated one by one. Wanlu Shinmu, on the immortal temple, Jian Wushuang discovered that his 9 tribulations tower had dissipated. For some unknown reason, he thought it was because of Weiss. While Danbao was walking down the stairs of becoming a god, he separated a strand of his origin, entered his own universe, and looked for Weiss. After entering the huge manor, he found a coast where Weiss often rested. Lord Weiss, why did the Tower of 9 Tribulations suddenly dissipate? It was a rare treasure, and he still felt a little distressed when it disappeared like this. After Weiss heard it, he said indifferently, Thanks. If the Tower of 9 Tribulations does not disappear, you must disappear. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang couldn't understand. He found a place to sit down, looked at Wes with doubts, and hoped that the other party could explain. Now he is not afraid of anything. Dan Bao is about to become a god. In the future, in the northern time and space, it will not be walking sideways. Who dares to let him disappear? Weiss seemed to see what he was thinking, and the corners of his mouth rose, but he couldn't help laughing. Jian Wushuang, you have a lot of enemies. I'm afraid you've almost forgotten that goddess. Heavenly girl? Jian Wushuang's brain buzzed, and he understood in an instant. The 9 Tribulations Pagoda was left behind from the ancient moon ruins. The ancient moon ruins are where the goddess fell. The disappearance of the 9 Tribulations Pagoda is related to the ancient moon ruins. Thinking of this, he understood. His eyes moved, and he said in surprise, Isn't it possible that goddess has regained her strength and seeks revenge from me? Chapter 5963. Tian Nu and Jiang Shang are almost the same person. He has a blood feud with Jiang Shang. The other party will never forgive him. That is a 9 Tribulation realm powerful man. It is also the only super powerhouse who has truly reached the 9 Tribulations realm in the 9 worlds. It even reached the peak of the 9 Tribulations realm, trying to create the existence of the second starry sky. If this restores his strength and seeks revenge on him, then he will be finished. Not to mention Dan Bao. Even if the Realm King came, he would not be able to keep him. Forget it. Seeing his face turn pale with fright, Weiss smiled. I won't tease you, which goddess just dissipated her last source and has completely disappeared. When Jian Wushuang heard the news, he instantly turned from sadness to joy. So Jiang Shang is gone? She's still here, and it's within the rules. She seeks revenge for you. I won't care. Weiss sat up and threw Beerus in his arms to the side, then said, Gu Yuetian, this is a cultivator who has violated the supreme rule, so it's better to dissipate it. lest I shoot her again. The goddess' attempt to create the second starry sky is to blaspheme the supreme rule. Must die. If she can leave a trace of the origin, it is also wise pity her. Then you can run away and make trouble. Although he knew that the other party had plans, Keves knew that it was impossible to succeed, because he has already seen through the future. So I found Jian Wushuang. First, when he came from the starry sky, he still had the task of finding a direct disciple. The original candidate was Jian Wushuang. Later, because of some things and some people, I changed my mind. Changed to the first life in Jian Wushuang universe. Jian Wushuang also heard the key point and said in surprise, "Could it be that you killed the goddess at the beginning?" "That's right." Weiss turned his head slowly, raised his head slightly, and a murderous aura leaked out. That breath is enough to shock all the practitioners today. Just a breath of air. It made Jian Wushuang unable to breathe. What the goddess did back then was too much, so she had to die. This is my duty. Jian Wushuang took a half step back. Then He thought of the starry sky in his original universe. You think too much. Weiss dispelled his concerns and explained. Your source starry sky was cultivated by you, not imitated, so it's fine, but you have to practice hard. Don't let me down on you expect. The source that he cultivated, the starry sky appeared. Even Weiss saw it for the first time. As for the power of the stars, this power is nothing special. The most optimistic about Jian Wushuang is the original universe, and Jian Wushuang's starry sky catalog, able to cultivate the origin universe of the starry sky. The most important thing is because of the star catalog, the eruption of eternal change, although it is also amazing. However, there are still many strong people who can create this kind of special skills. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang is the only one in the starry sky origin universe. At least that's what Weiss saw. As for whether there is such a concealment, it is impossible to know. The reason is the only two. It is because the starry sky where they are located has long been created. Naturally, there is a person who can create the starry sky. In Weiss, Jian Wushuang stayed for a long time. Surprisingly, Weiss said a lot. Jian Wushuang also listened carefully. Most of it is still about the practice of the source. It also gave him a lot of ideas for the next fusion of the origin of the pieces. That is his future evolution of his own tribulation simulation. Naturally dare not neglect. It's like one more chance. Danbao continues to grow on the ladder of becoming a god. Jian Wushuang is also practicing in the Temple of Immortality. To comprehend the ladder of becoming a god, you only need a clone. There are also clones perfecting the super eternity change, and even preparing for the seventh tribulation. The deity appeared on the Tiantian chessboard. In front of the chess pieces of the three major gods, he can already feel the mystery. Reincarnation has been created. Time is not far away. Time and space reincarnation is his ultimate goal. He didn't go very far in time. The space is already complete. It's still a lot worse. Jian Wushuang shook his head, denying the idea just now. Once again, I fell into contemplation and continued to calculate. There are only two chances. Once it was simulated with chess pieces. The second time it was about using his life. Time and space reincarnation. It seems a little far away. But he is the master of the universe of the six tribulations realm. Once the road to resurrection is opened up, at that time, we will head towards the nine tribulations realm. Almost to the nine tribulations realm, you can cultivate time to consummation, and even the eight tribulations realm can do it. It's just that the eight tribulations realm is still a little short of trying to create time and space. The goddess who had cultivated time and space to consummation wanted to go to the complex starry sky, but failed in the end. Space-time contains time and space. There is so much in the sky, still taking too many steps. Too risky. With the lessons learned, Jian Wushuang is reluctant to take risks. Just want to be steady. The realm of reincarnation, which is not rigid, can be condensed, which is normal. But time and space, he still needs time. At present, only the original chess pieces needed by the space can be extracted and then cultivated. Time goes by. On the one hand, he realized the ladder of becoming a god, which made his life force jump. Although he can't become the of life, He has the innate power of life and can continue to improve, even if he can't reach the level of Danbao. But he is not a major in life, just assisting is enough. So there is no need to pursue the ultimate. Just enough. On the side of the peak secret method, the ancient change has reached the peak level. The distance is complete, but a little less. He is not in a hurry. Anyway, after going out, there is no threat, and there is no battle. As for the backhand left by the metal light brain, he didn't care too much. The world is so big. It's impossible to find him right away. As long as you are always prepared, there is nothing to be afraid of. He now has a lot of trump cards. Don't look at this trip to Wanlu Shinmu. He didn't do much. But no one dares to underestimate the strength. At the beginning, he was angry and directly confronted Qi Jiuxiao, the Lord of the Universe at the peak of the Six Tribulations realm. 1.5 million basic divine power. Putting on the robbery armor, it can explode to 2 million. With the super eternal transformation, his divine power can reach 5 million. There is also the blessing of the universe dojo. Divine power at least more than 6 million. It is already the top level of the 8 Tribulations realm. This is not even counting his star catalog. That is the strongest combat power. The Sword of Reincarnation can threaten the peak of the 8 Tribulations. Just 2 metal puppets, what's there to be afraid of? Jian Wushuang disagreed, and continued his practice. The other avatar is paying attention to the ladder of becoming aware Danbao is located. Witness the birth of a god. This is the real god. Danbao, bathed in the power of life, holds a scepter and climbs the peak bravely, unhindered all the way. The so-called catastrophe may be the battles that came before this ladder of godhood. End of this chapter. Chapter 5964. After stepping on the ladder of becoming a god, Danbao is the of life. There are no surprises. All the way to the top. It only took a few years to cultivate the power of life to consummation. The halo of God also descended at this moment. Wanlu Divine Region, another change broke out. The sky above the realm of the gods. A projection descended with relief on his face. The person who came was the Realm King. The of life finally appeared under his command. Practitioners within the direct jurisdiction will also grow again. To have life is to have hope. Congratulations, Lord Realm King. The moment the Realm King appeared, the 3 ancient beings who were hidden in the void also walked out. When the Realm King saw these 3 people, he was extremely polite. You too, with the appearance of the God of Life, the 9 Tribulations realm, for you, is at your fingertips. It's still up to Lord Realm King. The appearance of the of Life. These 3 are the ones who benefit the most. They have already touched the 9 Tribulations realm, but they still have to suppress their own realm. Don't dare to go to the robbery, because the life level of the northern time and space is low. Once the tribulation is successful, even if it becomes the realm of 9 tribulations, it will not survive for a day. Even a quarter of an hour is difficult. That goddess from the beginning was a lesson. They had no choice but to elevate the divine body to the 9 tribulations realm first. And the source universe had been suppressed, waiting for the appearance of the of life. This is still the cultivator Tianjiao, who couldn't bear to be directly under the jurisdiction of the real king. They all jumped into the fire pit one after another, and secretly taught their secret methods to these 3 people. Of course, that's not a big mistake either. Even if Weiss saw it, he opened one eye and closed the other. Nothing was pursued. Got pointers. Speaking of which, these 3 ancient existences are still disciples of the Realm King. They also took the initiative to go to apprenticeships, but they were all rejected by the king. After all, he is a Realm King, the supreme in charge of the northern time and space. If you can worship the Realm King as your teacher, wouldn't you just walk sideways? Too bad they don't have that fortune. It's really lively. Behind the Realm King, another person suddenly appeared, wearing a yellow robe and a high crown. A character face, yellow skin and thick eyebrows. It was Wuxia who came with the real king. The 3 ancient existences were still sighing just now, and they were all startled when they saw Wuxia appear. And their brows jumped, and they wanted to get angry. He was so rude in front of the Realm King. What a system this is. Before the three of them got angry, the Realm King reached out and pressed his hand, and said indifferently, "Introduction. This is my disciple Wuxia." Ah, the three ancient existences couldn't believe their ears, and said in surprise, "You old man, when did you accept the masters?" "It just happened not long ago. You guys are here to get acquainted. I have to enter the Wanlu Shinmu." The Realm King waved his hand, and stepped into the Wanlu Shinmu. Only Wuxia and the three ancient existences were left. I don't know. The name of a Taoist friend? The three top powerhouses who walked sideways in the 9 worlds not only showed envy at Wuxia, but also meant to curry favor. After all, he is a disciple of the Realm King. Must be pulled together. Inside Wanlu Shinmu, more lively than the outside world. Everyone stood on the edge of the immortal temple, watching Dan Bao. Also talking in private. This life is worth it. An expert in the 7 Tribulations realm couldn't help sighing. Many surviving experts from the 7 Tribulations realm held their heads high. Along the way, I saw a lot of super strong, almost numb. It was at this moment that when he saw that Dan Bao became the god of life, he revealed a shocked expression. The Lord of Hungmu, who did not forget to pat the horse, pretended to be mysterious. Actually, I knew early on that Dan Bao could become the of life. I doubted my eyes, but I never doubted Dan Bao's ability. When he said this, everyone laughed. Blue looked at Dan Bao, and there was only gratification in his eyes. "Elder, seeing what I have seen, you can rest in peace." The appearance of Dan Bao bathed in life. Jian Wushuang just took a few glances before putting away his thoughts. Although Dan Bao has become the of life, he still has a stone in his heart, and he keeps looking at which great monk with the naked eye, the Taoist protector known as Dan Bao. The other party has always kept secrets. At the moment when Dan Bao became a god, the greed in the eyes of the great monk had reached its peak. Greed for the of life. Jian Wushuang immediately thought of a terrifying existence. Destroy life. It's not that he is sensitive, he is really pervasive. Even time and space can travel to calculate him. If he became the of life, he would immediately think about whether he was calculated by the destruction of life. No way. The other party caused a great shadow in his heart. If he does not destroy life, he will not be able to sleep peacefully. That is now, he has become the master of the universe. Just got some confidence. Now that there are so many strong people, he is even more confident. So I dare to face the big monk. I want to see if the other party is dead. Dan Bao was crowned a god. The virtual shadow of the Realm King has come again. At the end of the ladder of becoming gods, the Realm King came, holding a heavy book in his hand. Dan Bao, the real king, had a halo on his head. Looking at Dan Bao, said kindly, "From this moment on, you are the of life in the northern time and space, and you are in charge of all life, including plants and trees." The books in his hand were automatically flipped through. After staying on a certain page, Dan Bao's name appeared on the top. God of life Dan Bao. Above him there is a god. God of death, name unknown. Life and death. Just like the chicken and the egg. Everyone is asking which comes first. Now the answer appears. First there is death, then there is new life. If only life did not die, well, this place is absolutely hell. Only the undead and are immortal, because they will be punished forever. A world without death is more terrifying than a world of life. So there must be death before life. Dan Bao was crowned successfully. The 9 long rivers of time and space in the northern time and space shook together. Together with dozens of direct currents in the middle reaches, they reached the end of the long river of time and space. Dan Bao changed his body, wearing a green robe, and his skin was green. The temperament of the whole person has undergone earth-shaking changes again. From once ignorant to perseverance. Become wiser now. There is a color in his eyes. Little God, see Lord Realm King. Dan Bao bowed slightly and bowed to Realm King. The Realm King smiled happily. No gifts, we will be our own in the future. This is your ring. And bid farewell to your friends. There are more important things waiting for you. Yeah. Dan Bao also understood. The seed of God is no child's play. The moment Dan Bao put on the ring, the ladder of becoming began to crumble. The origin of Wanlu has also washed away the erosion of metal life. Chapter 5965. Back to the top. Swish. In a flash, Dan Bao arrived at the Temple of Immortality. When looking at the crowd, his eyes flickered, and the corners of his mouth were drawn. A few people who are close to each other gather in a group and congratulate together. The story of the trip to Wanlu was not easy. He also asked about Dan Bao's changes after he became a god. Jian Wushuang was most curious, so he asked, Dan Bao, how is your current combat power? Do you have the power of the 9 Tribulations realm? He has always been curious about the power of God. Weiss' method shocked him. On the other hand, the realm king was a little modest, and said that he was like a waste. He looks at Dan Bao's breath now. But it is extremely unusual. There is a strong coercion. No matter what, you must have the combat power of the 9 Tribulations realm. Unexpectedly, Dan Bao shook his head. The benefactor has lifted me up. I am only the of life, and the realm in charge of life and life has reached perfection. As for the combat power, I am afraid it is not as good as you. Why are you still going backwards? Shinmu Wang was a little surprised. When Dan Bao mastered the Immortal Temple, his personal combat power was no longer weak in the 8 Tribulations realm. Why is it not as good as them now? There is also Wu Li from the 6 Tribulations realm. Dan Bao then explained in a slow manner. The term of combat power is originally spoken by practitioners, and has nothing to do with God, whether I am or the realm king. In fact, I have no combat power, only duties. This time everyone understood it completely. It also dispelled previous speculation. Only Jian Wushuang still doesn't believe it is that simple. I'm afraid it's still not the king of the realm. Wei's combat power is very powerful. The goddess can be killed by him. That is the 9 Tribulations realm. And it is a copy of the 9 Tribulations realm of the starry sky. It is no exaggeration to be the #1 powerhouse in the northern time and space. Wei said it was wiped out. There is still a gap between God and God. For example, the realm king and Dan Bao. One is the manager of north time and space. One is the god of life in northern time and space. The difference is immediately apparent. Curious after chatting, the king of Shenmu and the lord of Hongmu began to talk about their credits intentionally or unintentionally. For example, against Qi Jiuxiao. Protect Dan Bao. A life and death battle. It even emphasized the original treasure several times. Even a fool can hear it. This is to make Dan Bao fulfill his promise. And the realm king, they have to fulfill the benefits they set themselves. There are many benefits in the beginning. Can't grow knowledge, don't grow fat. How could Dan Bao not understand that he was so smart? And immediately sent a voice transmission to the realm king. Whoa! The realm king projection came in person and patted his head. Look at my memory, I almost forgot about this. When the king of Shenmu and the lord of Hongmu saw that the realm king came directly, they quickly waved their hands. Don't worry about such a small matter. Aren't you in a hurry? The king narrowed his eyes, staring at the crowd. Everyone watching was stunned, but they were not polite, and they all held their faces, waiting for the king to fulfill his promise. Okay, what is yours after all. He took out countless treasures and distributed them to everyone in turn. Most of them are treasures needed by the 7 Tribulations realm. They are all treasures in the time of calamity, hard to find outside. Each piece is enough to cause a shock. The most valuable ones are those treasures that are needed by the 8 Tribulations realm. The Lord of Hongmu and the King of Shenmu both have hot eyes. After accepting the treasure, his complexion changed significantly. After knowing that combat power has nothing to do with divine position. They don't have much fantasies about the position of God. Still, the pursuit of combat power comes refreshingly. Jian Wushuang was originally not interested in that kind of thing, but there were not too many treasures. Accepted the treasure that the king took out. Among them are not only the treasures of his 7th calamity, but also some treasures of the origin of divine power. Mixed up a lot. These treasures are nothing to the realm king, but to them it was heaven. After the realm king is divided, Dan Bao also stood up, rubbed the ring and said, I still keep the position that I promised you at the beginning. I can peel off the 3 messengers of life in the immortal temple and give them to you." This Shinmu king and Hengmu lord hesitated. The big monk has always been on the edge, not paying attention to those treasures. I saw that Danbao wanted to seal the position of messenger, but his brows twitched, and the breath in his eyes couldn't help tilting out. Because the realm king was here, Jian Wushuang put down his guard. The Shinmu king coughed dryly and took the lead in expressing his position. "Lord Danbao, what is the benefit of the position of the messenger of life?" In their opinion, these messengers of life are no different from puppets. Those who are used to freedom don't seem to have any constraints. At the beginning, for the position of the messenger, he also valued the status and the improvement of combat power. Get along now. It doesn't really matter if you don't feel like being the messenger of life. It is better to attack the 9 tribulations realm. So I was a little hesitant and wanted to see the price. The messenger of life can use a source of life, and it is actually very helpful to you. Don't be under pressure. After becoming the messenger of life, there is no restraint. Danbao is grateful to those who have helped him, so the boundaries are also relaxed. Anyway, he is the of life, and will definitely study the secret method of lifeline in the future. No need to fight. Most of the time, it is still closed. Therefore, there is no requirement for the opponent. When the king of Shinmu and the lord of Hengmu heard this, they immediately agreed. With the source of life, it is almost the same as Jian Wushuang. You can keep recovering your vitality. When fighting, it is almost immortal. This is a huge benefit. The two did not hesitate. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Danbao crowned the two, become the messenger of life, but also obtained a set of life armor of the 9 tribulations level for nothing. Can increase your own divine power. Similar to Jian Wushuang's robbery armor. However, the power is a little worse. His robbery armor, when his basic divine power is 1.5 million, can increase the divine power by 500,000. That is 1/3. The armor of life obtained by the king of Shinmu and the lord of Hengmu. The increase in divine power is only about 1/5. For example, the original basic power of 10 million, with the armor of life, can increase to 12 million. Even so, they were satisfied. The trip to Wanlu Shinmu. No loss. Blood earned. All are happy. One all. That is, when they are happy, they ignore a person. Originally a very high-profile monk. After the coronation, Danbao thought of the great monk and turned to look for him. After seeing the great monk, he was about to speak, but was stopped by the king. "Guardian." The realm king was surprised and said in surprise, "The protector I identified?" He thought it was the great monk who voluntarily became Danbao's Taoist protector. Now that he heard that it was the guardian he had appointed, he was surprised. End of this chapter. Chapter 5966. There is no such link in his plan. Everyone was dumbfounded. Jian Wushuang was the first to react, and rushed directly in front of Danbao. His breath burst out instantly, pointed out, and shouted angrily, "Old monk, I have already seen that you have a problem, and you haven't shown up yet." The sword energy at the fingertips contains the sword of reincarnation. Even if the great monk is at the peak of the 8 tribulations realm, he would not dare to be careless. He stepped back quickly, his eyes full of surprise. "Jian Wushuang, what are you doing?" The rest of the people didn't understand why Jian Wushuang suddenly shot. "Mieshing, you can hide from others, but you can't hide from me." Jian Wushuang drew his sword directly. The power of death that seems to exist. He knows best. It's just that he didn't understand why the realm king didn't find the other party. A realm king with so many gods. The one who should know best about life and death. But the real king at this time was also shocked. The great monk confronts Jian Wushuang. People believe in Jian Wushuang even more. Because the big monk is from Wanlu universe. It came out of the middle. Although Jian Wushuang also ran to the ancient moon time and space halfway, he was at least Wu Li's nephew in terms of seniority. It's just that Wu Li can't tell the difference now. One is his mysterious father, and the other is a fake nephew. Lord Realm King, if you don't believe it, you can try it. He has the power of death in his body. And he is probably from the future. not a contemporary strong man. Jian Wushuang explained while confronting Miesheng. After the Realm King heard the word annihilation, his expression obviously changed, and he seemed to think of something. Destroy life. He suddenly thought of the leaf boat in the starry sky, and said in surprise, God of death in the starry sky, so you haven't left. The great monk knew that he couldn't bear it anymore, and he had already been revealed by the king of the realm, which was more convincing than Jian Wushuang. Then he sneered and stopped pretending. It was discovered by you guys. I'm really surprised. How can a cosmos master of the six tribulations realm recognize this seat? As soon as the voice fell, the big monk tore his skin. There must have been rounded sharp corners, followed by a plume of black smoke. Miesheng's familiar appearance appeared. He didn't take the Realm King in his eyes at all, stared at Jian Wushuang and said, Mortal, answer me. You don't know me? Jian Wushuang exclaimed in surprise, and then thought that the high probability of this annihilation is not in the same time and space as the annihilation of the original universe. Should this seat know you? Miesheng felt a little amused. He was questioned by a master of the universe in the six tribulations realm. He is the of death in the starry sky. The high status is much higher than that of a realm king, who is attached to the time and space. Starry sky. That is the land of the gods. It is also a gathering place for the peak powerhouses. It is also the end of the world. All things return to one, in the starry sky. As the of death in the starry sky, destruction is naturally arrogant. He didn't even care about the king of the realm. What's more, the realm king of the northern time and space has long since fallen. Fighting power is like air. No one can stop him. The of life was born. It was also when he forged his reincarnation. As in the starry sky, he has existed for endless years. Not only created countless death secrets, he has long talked about his combat power, which has risen to an unimaginable level. It's just that the northern time and space can't carry him. Even so, the moment his breath leaked out, his divine power instantly peaked. It has reached the strongest point in the 9 time and space. The temple of immortality is shaking. The power of this breath surpasses everyone else. Jian Wushuang was also extremely surprised. The divine power to destroy life has reached an astronomical figure. Make them desperate. Jian Wushuang was about to collapse. Originally thought that death was the same, but now it seems that he underestimated it. The huge divine power is beyond their cognition. It is definitely the 9 tribulations realm, and even surpasses the 9 tribulations realm. There is no way to resist. Miesheng raised his hand slightly, and said that Wanlu Shinmu was torn apart. A sky leaked out. The scene in the sky is the Wanlu divine realm. Countless powerhouses in the outside world also discovered death. They don't know what happened yet. Seeing that the Wanlu Shinmu was destroyed, the Realm King couldn't sit still. I don't care what you ask. This is the northern time and space. Even if you come from the starry sky, you must understand that with the constraints of the supreme rules, you are not afraid of death and destruction. Haha. Miesheng raised his head and laughed, raised his hand and shattered the immortal temple. Are you threatening me? The shattered temple of immortality began to gather and recover again. Danbao stared at Miesheng with despair in his eyes. Are you here for me? He has now become the of life, and can see the power of death in Miesheng. Has a terrifying magic power that will devour him. No, I'm here for life. Not only you, but also the gods of life in the other 3 dimensions will be swallowed up by me, creating a great reincarnation. You should be proud to be one with me. The words of death are still as arrogant as ever, just like the annihilation of the primordial universe. Jian Wushuang swallowed his saliva and kept calling for help in his heart. The current annihilation comes from the future, or from the past. Anyway, it's different from the annihilation of the primordial universe. At the beginning, Weiss said that if Dusheng really wants to travel through time and space, he will personally remove Dusheng. Apart from Weiss, Jian Wushuang couldn't think of anyone who could help them. The terrifying divine power of annihilation is too powerful. No one can stop it. When he was anxious, a voice sounded in his mind. Don't worry, listen to his plan. Weiss' voice transmission made Jian Wushuang calm down a little. It was only then that he realized that the Real King had already started winking at him. And the meaning could not be more obvious. That is, to ask him to ask Weiss for help. It's just that the real king didn't know that Weiss had promised Jian Wushuang that he would take action against the powerhouses who traveled through the future. Only Jian Wushuang knows about the matter of destroying life and traveling to the future. Not even the realm king knows. If he hadn't told Weiss didn't even know that the of death in the starry sky actually traveled through time and space, trying to devour the voices of life in the four major time and space. Weiss in the source starry sky also stood up at this time. The first time, contact the strong in the starry sky. In the distant and mysterious starry sky, the sky is full of gods. Destruction is in it. I don't know anything about the outside world. Those who attempt to devour life are all traveling through the future in different time periods. The deity has always been in the starry sky. Or rather, it was now. The real annihilation is in the future. It's really troublesome. Weiss rubbed his temples. He was about to faint. But since he touched it, it must be erased. Time travel is not allowed. Once discovered, it will be erased along with the deity. This is the iron law. Dishing would not have thought that he would be so unlucky. Shuttle to the past. Want to devour those gods of life, but met Weiss. Sorry for the late update. End of this chapter. Chapter 5967. Miesheng, who was kept in the dark, disapproved at this time. Staring at Dan Bao. A smile leaked from the corner of his mouth. Boy, you should be lucky. Saying that, he stretched out his paws to Dan Bao. Want to swallow Dan Bao's life in one fell swoop? Let's do it. Jian Wushuang reminded. Now killing them is like watching ants. And they will say so much nonsense. Just like when he went to the blood sacrifice to the common people. Where would he tell the other party what he wanted to do? Saying it is a waste of time. Ding! A crisp voice sounded in time and space. Time and space freeze instantly. But people don't. People can still move. Death is the same. It's just that space and time are frozen. Then everyone saw a figure that appeared above the sky. Holding a scepter. With a head full of white hair and a crown. It is Weiss. Everyone is not unfamiliar. I've seen Weiss before. Just don't know the identity of the other party. Did not expect to appear again this time. This is the life-saving straw for Jian Wushuang and Jia Wang. You're finished. The realm king came out immediately, pointed at Miesheng and cursed. A mere little god. He didn't kneel down when he saw Lord Xingling. Jian Wushuang was a little speechless when he saw this wave of dogs fighting against people. How is it a realm king? No face at all. No wonder he fell early. And now there are incarnations left. But it does not prevent the realm king from managing the northern time and space. Dead is the same as not dead. Protoss. Before Miesheng found Weiss, he was startled by the king's words. And then turned to look at the sky. He was completely stunned. No matter where the is, there is a hierarchy. For example, the highest divine position in the northern time and space is the realm king. Then there is the of reincarnation. Life and death. It just hasn't appeared yet. Death is the of death in the starry sky. And above it is the of reincarnation. But which of reincarnation has fallen? That's why he dared to plan the position of samsara. Not only is he planning, but the of life in the starry sky is also planning. Just not as brave as him. Dared to pay attention to the four dimensions of time and space. The of life who tried to devour the four major time and space, merged his own death, and became the of reincarnation. Go one step further. The god of reincarnation is powerful. But there is a more powerful existence than the god of reincarnation, such as time and space reincarnation, above the time and space cycle. And, as for star spirit, that is a noble being above God. It is the star spirit beside the creator of the starry sky. With just one glance, the eyes of the death almost burst. Weiss. Lord Weiss, why are you here? Oh, Weiss covered his mouth and chuckled. Of course it's to erase you. Destruction kept retreating, and his face revealed true despair, even more desperate than his own power of death. He never counted that he would meet a star spirit. That is an existence that is more powerful than the divine position. Not to mention resistance, He didn't even have the courage to stand in front of the opponent. Sir. Mieshing knelt down directly. The whole person was decadent, and without a little bit of high spirits, he knelt on the ground and begged devoutly. Lord Weiss, please kill me. Everyone watching this scene was stunned. I originally thought that destiny should struggle. But like a dead dog, he knelt down and begged West to kill himself. Those present, or those outsiders who do not know what to do, are puzzled. Only one person from the future knows the reason. Although Jian Wushuang knew about Weiss' strength, he didn't expect that Miesheng would take the initiative to ask for death. So he sent a voice transmission to Wes, asking him to be careful. If these words are known to the Realm King, I am afraid they will laugh out loud. It was really Jian Wushuang who was afraid of death from the bottom of his heart, and thought that the other party was taking the initiative to show weakness, and there was a backhand. After hearing the sound transmission, Weiss turned to look at Jian Wushuang and said, How about I give you this opportunity? No. No need. Jian Wushuang shook his head frantically. Then don't regret it. After Weiss finished speaking, the scepter moved, directly erasing all the space and time where the annihilation was. At the moment of extinction and disappearance, the of death in the starry sky also began to shatter. There are also the annihilation of different time spaces in the other 3 major time spaces. And they are also shattering. Only the annihilation of the primordial universe remains. The Realm King was the first to discover it, so he couldn't help looking at Jian Wushuang and sighed. Jian Wushuang, you just missed the best chance. What chance? Jian Wushuang was still immersed in the moment when Weiss shot, and some couldn't understand the king's words. Next, the king said something about the structure of the deity. Jian Wushuang suddenly realized. Just now Weiss asked him to take a shot, and he could also kill the death. And it will kill the primordial universe together with cause and effect. There is no need for him to take the cannon fodder Qi temple with the people all the way. So it is. Jian Wushuang was not lost. In his consciousness, he had long regarded Miesheng as an opponent. It is also good to keep the annihilation in the primordial universe. It's a chance for him. Kill the opponent's last clone with your own hands. Lord Realm King, what is the strength of the annihilation in the original universe? Is it as strong as the annihilation just now? Jian Wushuang was still a little worried. If only as strong as before. Then he can't go back right away. Just keep practicing. When the Realm King heard his words, he laughed. No, if anyone is so powerful, I'm afraid you would have fallen long ago. Which one is only one of many clones. And his strength is just average. General? Jian Wushuang did not dare to be careless and asked, How much is the general? In the distance, Weiss floated slowly. You reading www. Akanshu. The King of Calm hurriedly stopped and said, The secret must not be revealed. Jian Wushuang frowned and looked at Wes. I'm afraid they did it on purpose. He is not asking. As long as he is not as strong as before, it is almost enough for him to go further and become the 7 tribulations realm. Even with people now, it is not impossible to go back. For some things, you don't have to wait for everything to be ready. Still have to put some pressure on yourself. Otherwise, it would be boring to overwhelm the opponent. It is precisely because of this that his opponents will continue to grow under his eyes every time, and even surpass him. If you were ruthless, how could there be so many things now? The last Dharma body is left after death. The goddess also has a Dharma body left, inside the temple of destruction of the primitive universe. Desheng also seemed to feel a strong unease. Then the unease disappeared. He looked through the Qishan temple with his eyes, but couldn't find the reason. The original time and space now. The power of Qi temple has shrunk into a ball. 1,000,000 epochs have passed. The original time and space now. Refurbished long ago. Catastrophe can be seen everywhere. Those acquaintances that Jian Wushuang once had also become the masters of the universe one by one. Compared to the ancient moon space-time, the original space-time is still a little immature. Looting is rare. It is still mostly the Lord of the universe. Chapter 5968. It's just that most of the lords of the universe are the powerhouses of the Temple of Destruction. The territory occupied by Qishan Temple is only 10% of the original time and space, and only 20% of the strong ones. If it weren't for the fact that the true spirit controls several space-time treasures, that is, the treasures of the universe in the Nine Tribulations realm, they would have been breached by the Temple of Destruction. Miexing is staring at Qishan Temple. The true spirit in the Qi Temple is staring at the distant river of time and space. Jian Wushuang, hurry up! Zhenling prayed in his heart, because he could no longer stop it. A storm is still gathering. Next time, the broken ship of Qishan Temple might sink. Standing on the peak of the Tomb God Mountain, Zhenling has a sad look in his eyes. At this moment, there were footsteps behind him, and after a short pause the voice sounded. Master Zhenling, Wanqing has fallen. A piece of bad news came. Zhenling closed his eyes slightly. The best Jian Wushuang and others left. Wanqing and others have become the most promising successors in the Qi Temple. Zhenling's vision is not bad. Later, Wanqing became the robbery realm, and it only took 100,000 epochs to become the master of the 5 robbery realm universe. Later, it reached the peak of the 5 tribulations realm, become a powerful force in the Qi Temple. Now it has fallen. Standing on the Tomb God Mountain, he didn't know how much bad news he heard. I see. Zhenling paused for a moment. He didn't have time to be sad now. He could only bury the fallen inheritors on the mountain of the Tomb God. If he won that day, he would go to worship. If it fails, let's live together forever. Ancient moon, time and space. Above the Wanlu divine realm, the Temple of Immortality has left the universe inside the Shinmu, and Wanlu Shinmu was also taken away by Weiss, leaving a land irrigated with life. The Shinmu king immediately announced that this place is the sect of the Ancient Wood sect, ready to recreate the Ancient Wood Pai, the former strongman of the Ancient Wood sect, the mutiny of the mutiny, the death of the dead. There are few left now. King Shinmu felt that the foundation was still there. At least in the treasure house of the sect, there are countless mortal treasures that can be cultivated. He doesn't know those treasures yet, and he has long since been sent away by his hand-picked headmaster, which headmaster is also in the Wanlu universe, and will be destroyed along with Baby D. Speaking of Bobby, Jian Wushuang also thought of Qi Jiuxiao. It has been suppressed by Dan Bao in the Temple of Immortality. When he regained his consciousness, he was a giant clan powerhouse with 9 robbery realm combat power. The giant gods are known as the first group in the starry sky, and there are even true gods in the clan. The heritage is very deep. I don't know what will happen after regaining consciousness, but that's all for later. The many powerhouses who entered the Immortal Temple together have now bid farewell to Dan Bao and left the Immortal Temple one by one. Return to the ancient moon, time and space like glory. Meet the envious look from outside. They will be the first beneficiaries when Dan Bao creates the peak's secret method of resurrection. And before he left, he was given countless powers of life. Even if Dan Bao needs hundreds of millions of epochs, they can survive it. Many people left one after another. Jian Wushuang and Wu Li were not in a hurry. Gubei Weiss is also leaving. Lord Weiss, are you just leaving? Jian Wushuang couldn't accept it. There was a great master living in his body, and he had the confidence to leave suddenly. It is inevitable that some are unacceptable. Weiss smiled indifferently, holding the cat in the bag. There is still a chance to meet in the future. The 3 things I have to do here have been completed. There is no need to wait. Wait for you to reach the starry sky, or the continent of the gods. We should see you again. World God Continent. He was a little curious, just heard the name. He knew about the starry sky, but he didn't know what this World God Continent was for. Back then, the Realm King also promised them that he would send them to the Realm God Continent to cultivate. It's just not necessary now. They all went back to retreat with their treasures and waited for their resurrection. After the resurrection, rekindle the cultivation path, and then talk about the adventure. It's all too early now. But it was not too early for Jian Wushuang. So I am also very curious about what kind of existence the World God Continent is. The continent of the gods does not belong to your northern time and space, but it is a universe that connects the 4 major dimensions of time and space. It was created by an almighty person. If you have a chance, you must go. Maybe you can meet me. Weiss replied calmly. Jian Wushuang nodded. Yes. He only got the top half of Zizai Ji Gong. Although he can't practice it yet, when he can practice it in the future, he still has to look for the bottom half. At that time, we have to take the initiative to find Weiss. After the final farewell, Kai Wang and Jian Wushuang bid farewell to Weiss together. When the scepter moved, a tunnel of colorful streamers appeared. Weiss looked back and smiled, and disappeared in front of everyone. Then the space returned to calm. Xingling, Jian Wushuang muttered to himself, turned to look at the king and said, Is Xingling also in the starry sky? The realm king said silently, Yes, and it is the most powerful god. There are 12 star spirits in the starry sky, and their status is very high. If you can have contact with Lord Weiss, you can work hard in the future. I am optimistic. 12 star spirits. It is the 12 top powerhouses in the starry sky. From the era of opening up the starry sky to the present, no one can shake it. It can be said to be invincible. I don't know how much stronger than the death. This made Jian Wushuang think of teacher Xianyi. If you can give him a treasure like the Guantian chessboard, I am afraid it will not be weak. At least it is the existence of the king of the world. Even with Hai. It was just that when Wes was asked about teacher Xuani, the other party didn't know. It might be teacher Xuani, who didn't tell him his real name. On the other side, Weiss passes through the colorful tunnel. Directly entered the starry sky that ordinary people cannot constantly surpass. In the huge dome starry sky, there is a temple. After Weiss entered the starry sky, he teleported to this place. After throwing Beerus into his own hall, he went to the depths of the temple. After entering the temple, he stopped instantly, but walked into a side hall in the temple. There is also this person inside, who looks very similar to Weiss, and the other party also has a scepter in his hand. Facing this person, Weiss bowed respectfully. Grand Priest, I want to see Lord God King. Wait. The person in the temple who looks similar to Weiss is called the Great Priest, and is the housekeeper in the temple. Even though he is a housekeeper, his power ranks in the top 3. He turned around and opened the door of the side hall, only to go in for a moment, and then return again. Reached out for Weiss to enter the door. When Weiss passed the Grand Priest, he bowed slightly to express his gratitude. Then entered the temple. Lord God King, the matter of the northern time and space. Weiss told everything he had seen, and finally added, I followed your wishes and chose Beerus, and Jian Wushuang is still in the northern time and space. N, a figure behind the bill in the hall, with his back turned to Wes, just gave a soft grace. It's nothing, you go down first. Chapter 5969. He is the King of Gods, the creator of the starry sky, the most powerful man of all ages, Creator God, the pioneer of the supreme rule, the ancestor of all practitioners. Status, strength, and ability are the first person. This is the big guy. Just hearing the other party's voice, Weiss felt infinite pressure. Although he didn't even see his face, he bowed and stepped back, walked out of the hall, and let out a sigh of relief. After walking out of the hall, the Great Priest was no longer there. Because only Weiss came to visit the God King alone, this can all be calculated. After Weiss left, there was no need for anyone to stay here. Beerus, it's also a good choice, Weiss said to himself with a smile, and left the hall calmly. Ancient moon time and space. With the departure of Weiss, the Real King is also ready to leave with Dambao. Dambao invited him to go to the World God continent together. I have no choice but to have more important things, so I politely declined. Turning to look at the rest of the people, only Bruce and Wooly remained. Needless to say, Bruce was directly named a demigod powerhouse, or the position of the of war. In one step, he reached the combat power of the half-step 9 tribulations realm. The Realm King himself injected his Realm King power. Help Bruce stabilize the realm. Then there is Wooly. Jian Wushuang let out a wicked smile, looked at Wooly and said, Brother Wooly, your cheap old man has perished. Do you have any plans for the next step? Don't. After Wooly heard Jian Wushuang's words, he quickly waved his hand. I'm not familiar with that bald monk. Don't play this kind of joke on me, I can't bear it. Haha. He walked in front of Wu Li, patted the other party's shoulder, and said in a slightly serious tone. Then you can go with Dambao. Guyu Shikong has nothing to remember, and I will find you when I have a chance in the future. Drink wine. Wu Li also knew that Jian Wushuang had secrets, and now Jian Wushuang jokingly said that he was helping him by asking him to follow Dambao. Entering the ancient moon time and space is because Wu Li entered the Wanlu Shinmu. Now Wanlu Shinmu is gone, but because of the other party, he has grown a lot. A word is not very helpful. Dambao also understood what Jian Wushuang meant. For him, Wu Li was also a benefactor. Even if he took the initiative to invite Wu Li to enter the world god continent with him. Since the Lord God of Life has spoken, then I won't give face if I shirk it. Well, then go to the world god continent and have a look. And by the way, I will be a guard for Dambao. But when he finished speaking, those the golden armored warrior and the original 3 life messengers all stood up. Wu Li quickly waved his hand and said, Joke, joke. He wasn't going to take jobs with these guys. Everything was arranged, and it was time to part. Before leaving, the Realm King also gave Jian Wushuang a surprise. This surprise really surprised Jian Wushuang. Brother Wuzhua, this time Jian Wushuang is really happy. Just moved to tears. Encountering old friends in a foreign land. And this old man is still fat. Seeing the other party from a distance, he felt an aura of the 7 tribulations realm. Brother Wushuang. Wuzhua saw Jian Wushuang flying from below, and took the initiative to meet him. The immortal temple has torn the void, and left the ancient moon space-time. The super powerhouses from all sides also left the ancient moon time and space one after another, waiting for the of life to create the method of resurrection. However, some people found Jian Wushuang before leaving. Want to buy some life force? Wuzhua thought that these people were trying to threaten Jian Wushuang, jumping and scolding, and almost did it. Some of those scattered tribulations are not the powerhouses of the ancient moon time and space. Jian Wushuang actually didn't need to help these people, but he also has to prepare for the future tribulation. It simply sold a lot of life force, harvested a large number of primordial stones, a full billion, enough for him to transcend the 8th robbery. This made those strong men who did not come extremely envious. Life force is not for sale. Countless auctions have not encountered a trace. Jian Wushuang has an ocean of life. How can you not be shocked and surprised? Although having treasure, but no one dared to peep. Not only because of Wuzhua's relationship, but also because of Jian Wushuang's strength. The Lord of the 6 Tribulations realm universe has such a huge life force. The strength is even greater. Busy with everything, Jian Wushuang declined the invitation of the Shinmu King. Want to recruit him to become the second in command of the ancient Wood sect. But Jian Wushuang couldn't see it. Finally, it was given to the Lord of Hengmu. The two of them smelled like each other. Jian Wushuang and Wuzhua didn't stay too long. This place is not the place to talk. Knowing that he sells the power of life, I am afraid that countless people will follow. He was exhausted. After collecting enough treasures, he pulled Wuzhua and left Wanlu Divine Realm. Ready to go to the daughter country. The two of them were riding on the silver pyramid. Inside the pyramid captured by Jian Wushuang. It has long since been transformed by him. Now used as a flying treasure. However, some of the internal things can still be used, and it needs to be transformed by a puppet master. Originally found Lianxing, but the opponent's level is limited. It can still be seen in the ancient moon spacetime, but looking at the entire northern time and space, there are still some gaps. I want to restore this metal treasure to its original state. At least have a metal light brain. For this kind of thing, either go to the southern time and space to find it, or go to the world god continent. Very troublesome. Now Jian Wushuang doesn't have that time. So after the time and space of Guyu is out, you can find a god-forging master in the 8 tribulations realm, at will to repair it and use it. For example, it can breed metal life. He has infinite life force. There is also infinite power of all things. The power of all things can be transformed into divine power. At that time, with the silver pyramid, countless armies will be able to be born. This time, among the treasures he got, this pyramid can only be seen. Although the treasures given by the Realm King are precious, they can also be bought. But this pyramid cannot be bought with money. Even in the southern time and space, it is the top metal treasure. Treasures at the level of the 9 tribulations must at least be forged and repaired by the master of the universe of the 8 tribulations. Whoa! Inside the pyramid, Wuxia visited at random and said curiously, "Brother Wuxia, your treasure can be powerful, and the space is not bad. Sitting has a face." Now Wuxia, like a son of an aristocratic family, likes to compare. Holding a wine glass in one hand, behind the other, there is quite the honor of a big boss. I just remodeled it at will. In fact, the internal source and structure are damaged. I was too ruthless at the beginning. Jian Wuxia also took the opportunity to brag about himself. What he said was also the truth, and it was really because he shot too hard. Otherwise, it can be kept more complete. Wuxia shook the wine glass, and when he heard that this treasure was still damaged, he immediately said, "Then we have to repair it quickly. I will introduce you to someone. The ancient existence of our northern time and space, and the study and casting of billions of years, will definitely help you repair it." Chapter 5970. As soon as he heard that it was an eternity, Jian Wuxia came to his senses. In fact, whoever existed in the ancient times has just met Wuxia. But it's okay to help repair a small thing like a treasure. The two chatted for a while, then sat aside and talked about their experiences over the years. Wuxia also knew about Jian Wuxia's own affairs. After all, there are only 3 eras, although it is extremely exciting. But it was soon over. But Wuxia has been practicing with the Realm King for millions of epochs. Encountered more things. For example, Jian Wuxia met Fan Tianfeng and Jin Wuyang. Wuxia found almost everyone, except for Huiqing. He knew where those people were. Huiqing should be at the ancient moon ruins. Jian Wuxia gave the answer. At the beginning, Huiqing reminded him not to go to the ancient moon ruins, but now he still has to go. Hearing the ancient moon ruins, Wuxia pulled his face down and said in shock, "How could it be in the ancient moon ruins, where is now completely a dead place? And it was completely turned into ashes not long ago." "Ah," Jian Wuxia said in surprise. "It turned into ashes? When did this happen?" "The moment Danbao became a god, the ancient moon ruins turned into ashes." This Jian Wuxia is still just known. There was also some concern for Huiqing in my heart. Seeing Jian Wuxia's expression a little embarrassed, Wuxia quickly changed the subject and talked about Fan Tianfeng. "The opponent has fallen. With which fire god?" Hearing this, Jian Wuxia was not surprised, but the deity of the flame fell, and he was a little curious. However, according to what the Realm King said, the annihilation of the original universe is very weak, but it also has a combat power above the peak of the 8 tribulations realm. Killing a fire is normal. Even if they are so far apart, they can kill with one hit. The combat power of the flame gods is difficult to achieve, even at the top of the 8 tribulations realm. It is not bad to have about 5 million in divine power. I tried to persuade her back then, but I was too insistent. Jian Wuxia took a sip of wine and said regretfully. Wuxia poured the wine on his own and said, "Actually, if the old man of the realm hadn't stopped me, he might have gone back already." When it comes to the Qi temple, their expressions have changed. Jian Wuxia was fine, but felt that 3 epochs had passed. Wuxia has really endured a million epochs. From the emperor, step by step to the 7 tribulations realm. For Qi temple, I have long been missing. It also made him more and more loyal to Qi temple. After knowing that Zhen Wuyang was reluctant to bear his wife and children, and chose to stay in the universe of Wanlu Shimu forever, he scolded Zhen Wuyang together. "Forget it, he is only in the 5 tribulations realm, and his abilities are limited, and he probably saw the gap with me at the beginning. So he chose to stay, knowing that he can go back and nothing to make up for it." No matter how Zhen Wuyang is said to be, he was also a nobleman in the past, and it is not an exaggeration to say a good word to the other party. Let's not talk about him. Wuxia slapped his mouth and wiped the corner of his mouth. Brother Wuxuang, you are now the lord of the six tribulations realm universe. How is your divine power? They arrived at the ancient moon time and space. All went to divine power. In fact, look at the northern time and space. Most of them are still practicing magic. There are very few people who cultivate the origin. So when the two talked about combat power, they still talked about divine power. My current basic divine power is not much, only 1.5 million. Jian Wuxuang confidently reported his basic divine power. 1.5 million basic divine power, the standard of the seven tribulations realm. But after hearing this, Wuxia, who had a lot of knowledge, was a little disappointed and said, "That's really not much." Seeing that the other party dared to look down on him, Jian Wuxuang suddenly became angry. "Try." He tilted his head as he spoke, indicating that there was a Dongtian martial arts arena next door. The interior of the valley was built by himself, and it was extremely solid. "Just try it." Wuxia also had itchy hands. Although Jian Wuxuang said that his basic power is only 1.5 million, not to mention the explosion. The reason why he was disappointed was because the shock that Jian Wuxuang gave him was too strong. When he is a monarch, his divine power can explode to more than 100,000. The Lord of the Six Tribulations realm universe needs at least 2 million to make a bottom line. When he was able to fight Jian Wuxuang before, Jian Wuxuang was a Taoist, so he couldn't be deceived negative a junior. Later, the two reached a level, and the result was no opponent at all. Now he has finally caught up with Jian Wuxuang again, and even overwhelmed Jian Wuxuang, reached the level of the Lord of the Seven Tribulations realm universe. Moreover, he cultivated the peak secret technique of the realm king, and he was also able to integrate his dojo into his body. Like Jian Wuxuang, without reaching the Eight Tribulations realm, you can give your own origin universe that you carry with you. To put it simply, it is to put the origin universe into the body of one's own god. Although Wuxia is only the master of the Seven Tribulations realm universe, he can rely on his own Cosmos dojo to be comparable to the top of the Eight Tribulations realm. The ordinary Lord of the Seven Tribulations realm can match the ordinary Eight Tribulations realm by virtue of the dojo. As a disciple of the realm king, Wuxia is naturally much stronger than the general master of the Seven Tribulations realm universe. "Please." Jian Wuxuang waved his hand, and the two figures flashed into the martial arts field at the same time. "Space changes. What kind of battlefield do you want?" Wuxia froze for a moment and said, "Desert." "Whoa." The martial arts field instantly turned into an endless desert. "Is this all right?" Wuxia was surprised. Jian Wuxuang also said indifferently, "Of course." The two face each other far away. God is unmoved, not in a hurry to explode. Swish. Wuxia took the lead. The figure instantly appeared in front of Jian Wuxuang and slapped it with a palm. Shook the entire desert. The surrounding gravel swept the sky, obscuring the sky, like the end of the day. Jian Wuxuang didn't dodge either, and to learn from each other would require divine power to collide. Otherwise it's not interesting. But after taking this palm, he regretted it again. The basic divine power is as high as 2.5 million. Brother Wuxia is very good, Jian Wuxuang exclaimed, and secretly said in his heart. No wonder he is so crazy. The basic divine power is more than 2 million. After Wuxia heard it, he shot and said modestly, "It's not too high or not. It's only 1 million more than you." "Really?" Jian Wuxuang chuckled, and a dark armor appeared on his body. The divine power instantly increased by 500,000. This is a robbery. The crazy running robbery brought him 500,000 basic divine power. Instantly raised a level, he took the initiative to punch Wuxia's chest. Wuxia did not guard against it, and guarded with advance. When he pointed out, countless light waves impacted Jian Wuxuang's face. Every light wave can kill the ordinary 7 Tribulation Realms scattered robbery powerhouse. Jian Wuxuang had to step back. However, after pulling the distance, Wuxia refused to let go, his hands together, constantly blasting light waves and rushing towards Jian Wuxuang. The crackling sound shook the entire desert. Wuxia let out a low roar, blasting out 1,000,000 attacks every moment, and stopped after a full incense stick. Chapter 5971. With such a high-intensity attack, his breathing did not change. How about it? In the dust in the sky, Jian Wushuang could not be seen. Happy, Jian Wushuang put his hands down in front of him. Just resisted so many attacks. Really happy. That feeling of being in a fight was quickly found. In the years he entered Wanlu, he seldom shot. He was even more itchy than Wuxia. What's more enjoyable is yet to come. Wuxia exclaimed, "Look at me. The power of the Realm King." The breath on Wuxia's body suddenly turned golden. Divine power also began to greatly increase. The number of interest times has been fully increased from 2.5 million to 3 million. Very good, Jian Wushuang praised. The power of the Realm King can increase the power of 500,000, which is indeed very good. No wonder it was the secret technique of the King of the King's box. Wuxia smiled and said his whole card directly. Tell Jian Wushuang that he can exert 5 times the power of the world god. That is to say, in the peak state, the divine power can reach 5 million. It is already the threshold of the top of the 8 tribulations realm. This is not even the origin dojo. Even if the source dojo is increased by 20% by 40%, there are still 6 million divine powers. Wuxia's combat power really impressed him. But he is not weak. The power of the beast god. 5 times. Jian Wushuang let out a low roar, and his divine power increased from 2 million to 3 million. 5 times increased the power of 1,000,000. Now the divine power is equal to Wuxia. The two fought together again. Continued to madly attack each other with divine power. Playing in full swing. Hardy. After fighting the magic, fight again. The two of them supported with both hands and burned with divine power. Whoosh. Everyone gasped. Snapped. Jian Wushuang raised his leg and kicked Wuxia away. Haha. It seems that I still have the upper hand in terms of strength. Wuxia, who was kicked away, let out a smug smile. Jian Wushuang wiped the sweat from his forehead and said disdainfully, "What a joke. That's because I didn't use all my strength." The two opened up again, facing each other. How about all your strength? After Wuxia gasped for a while, he directly mobilized the source to restore the lost divine power and reached his peak state. Jian Wushuang nodded, feeling that it was almost the same, and it was time to touch it with all his strength. With a move of mind, the force of life directly restores the injury. The fight just now is still a small fight. Just a warm-up. Neither of them have leaked their cards yet. Wuxia fell and exploded. 5 times the power of the world burst out in an instant. Divine power also exploded from 3 million to 5 million. This powerful divine power shook the desert. Around his body, there are also strands of golden arcs. The eyebrows and eyes have undergone tremendous changes and become thicker, which is the thickness of divine power. After seeing Wuxia's peak combat power, not to be outdone, Jian Wushuang let out a low roar, and the aura on his body began to change. Blue! Wuxia exclaimed. Boom! A powerful breath rose instantly. The power of the beast was completely contracted. Instead, Jian Wushuang wrapped in a blue arc. This move is called Super Eternal Transformation. Jian Wushuang's eldest mother and son pointed at herself and introduced her proud peak secret technique. It was created by him himself. Naturally proud, Goop/Span used Super Eternal Thickening, and his divine power also increased to 5 million. Similar to Wuxia, but he is only the lord of the universe of the 6 tribulations realm. Seeing that Jian Wushuang was as powerful as himself, Wuxia let out a smile. The 6th tribulation realm is as powerful as his 7 tribulation realm. This is Jian Wushuang. Boom! The two shot at the same time. At the moment of the shot, the ground rises a vortex. In the vortex of the ellipse is their origin dojo. Wuxia's dojo has increased his divine power by a full 30%. Divine power reached 6.5 million. Jian Wushuang also leaked a surprised expression. He didn't expect Wuxia's origin dojo to be so powerful. When his origin dojo reaches the limit state, One universe can increase 4 cities. One universe, the power of 100,000 black holes. This is much stronger than Wuxia. If the second universe is formed, can increase by 5%. However, Wuxia learned from each other. He did not need to increase so much. It only increased by about 30%. Reach 6.5 million. When two people are at their peak, they can easily shatter the space. Break everything. They have all reached the top level of the 8 tribulations realm. Every time they collided, the body of the gods trembled. Brother Wuxia, you still haven't let me down. This can be tied with me. Wuxia moved his numb wrists. He hadn't experienced such a peak match in a long time. I wasn't used to it for a while, but it's really been a lot of comfortable days. The bones are softened. This is not good. Jian Wuxia was suspended in the air, but he didn't feel that way. You have to pay attention. If you are not careful, I will crush you again. Haha, impossible. Wuxia rushed again, fists and feet added together. He does not use the treasure. The divine body is the strongest treasure. He can shatter the treasures of the 7 tribulations of the universe. Clang! Jian Wuxia pulled out the sword of myriad tribulations, instantly causing the surrounding time and space to freeze, and his voice became cold. Really? As soon as the divine sword came out, Wuxia felt a little regretful. I forgot about it. He forgot that Jian Wuxia was a kendo practitioner, or the ultimate kendo. This time, there is a difference. Or is Jian Wuxia saving face for the other party? Otherwise, pure divine power can win Wuxia. Wuxia can also see that Jian Wuxia's divine power has never been controlled in the same way as his. Definitely save face for yourself. Thinking of this, he is not hiding either. Since I have taken out the eating guys, then I will not hide it. Wuxia took a half step back, clenched his fists and said in a low voice, "Let's see, the strongest unique skill I have learned." Jian Wuxia held the sword of myriad tribulations and said indifferently, "One move determines the outcome." Good. The two opened up. Jian Wuxia was thinking about which sword to use. The sword of life is a little weak. The same goes for the sword of death. Using samsara. I was afraid that Wuxia's loss would be too ugly. Neutralize it, or use that trick. In an instant, a sword appeared in his hand. One black and one white. Double sword slide. Jian Wuxia bowed his head and swooped out, life and death walking together. Wuxia Shuangquan gathered divine power and shouted angrily, "Jia Wangquan." The shadow of the fist covers the entire sky, and 1,000 thunders are drawn with one punch. Above the sky, thousands of fist shadows appeared, like myriad beasts galloping towards Jian Wuxia. Myriad beasts collided with 2 swords, one black and one white. Destroyed in an instant. There are constantly boxing shadows being broken open by sword energy. These are not enough to worry about. The battle between the two will only be decided when they collide. Chapter 5972. Chapter 5977. You are the one who won. The 2 swords cut open. Black and white split the world. The fist shadow sank into the sky. The 2 of them made a mistake, and the winner has been divided. With their backs facing each other, the 2 put away their respective breaths at the same time and returned to normal. Losing. No, you won my martial arts field. Jian Wuxia couldn't help laughing. I originally built this cave to cultivate under normal conditions in the future, but it can also withstand the 8 tribulations realm. In the battle of the top powerhouses, I didn't expect that the blow just now turned Dongtian into 2 halves, and even shattered your fist. Wuxia heard the loud voice. So I really took advantage of it, but don't worry, I will get you a better one when you arrive at the eternal realm of heaven. Saying this on the face, the hands behind his back couldn't help shaking. The sword just now almost broke his hands. If it wasn't for Jian Wuxia's back and slashing the sword energy in this cave, he would have been seriously injured at least. Jian Wuxia's combat power is still as terrifying as before. Even if he practiced with the Realm King for so long, he was still inferior to Jian Wuxia. But it's okay. At least now I can keep up with Jian Wuxia's footsteps. In the past, they didn't even have the ability to learn from each other. So he wasn't too disappointed. The The time for the two to discuss is only an hour. At this hour, they had already arrived in the territory of the daughter's country. The pyramid is suspended above the daughter country, attracted a lot of strong onlookers. But the pyramid could not be broken. Can't even feel the breath. For this, the king of Yunji was alarmed. In recent years, the ancient Wood continent has not been peaceful. All powerhouses have gone through. So be careful, otherwise, an accident may destroy the daughter's country. The ancient Moon Divine sect couldn't save them. After seeing this pyramid, the Lord Yunji was greatly surprised. I have never even seen such a treasure. Just when she was curious, Jian Wuxia took Wuxia out of the pyramid. Lord Yunji, long time no see. Jian Wuxia felt some remorse in his heart as he looked at the gentle Lord Yunji. At the beginning, it was agreed to protect Jin Shun. In the end, Jin Shun still fell. King Yunji looked up and followed the voice, and found out that it was Jian Wuxia, and he was not too shocked. Empress Fengchen has already told her about the infinite world. It is no secret that Jian Wuxia entered the Wanlu Shinmu. It's been a few years since we saw each other. King Yunji's expression was indifferent. Obviously, Jian Wuxia did not protect Jin Shun well, and there was some complaints. He didn't even mean to ask him to come in and sit down, he just stood in the air. Jian Wuxia was a little embarrassed. Wuxia didn't know the inside story, and felt that the other party was a little disrespectful, so he wanted to show his hand, but was stopped by Jian Wuxia. I'm sorry about Jin Shun. Jian Wuxia bowed slightly, took out 2 mustard seeds and said, "These things on behalf of Jin Shun, I present to you and the Empress." There are many treasures in these 2 mustard seeds. Among them, in the mustard seed given to the Lord of Yunji, there is also Jin Shen's relic. Since the other party likes Jin Shen so much, then give it to Lord Yunji. As for the queen, it is already very good that he can give treasures to the other party. The fall of Jin Shen is entirely the fault of the Empress. If it wasn't for abandoning them at the beginning, Jin Shen would not have fallen. When the Lord Yunji heard that there was Jin Shen's relic, he took 2 mustard seeds and his face softened a little. Gumu continent, there is nothing to remember. Repay the kindness. About to leave, there is also a benefactor, Lianxing. He also owed the other a favor. However, the 2 of them roamed Wanlu Shinmu together, and the words were all finished. The matter of human affection is estimated to be paid later. Now he has to follow Wuxia to Tiansong Eternal Realm, to find the 2 brothers Dongxing and Wanyan. When everyone gathers together, it is almost time to leave. Let's go, Jian Wuxia said indifferently. Take Wuxia back to the inside of the pyramid again. Swish. Mitsubishi Pyramid a flash. Direct leaving the ancient Wood continent. To the void in the ancient moon space. Who was it just now? Wuxia's curiosity came up, and he began to ask continuously. Jian Wuxia laughed at himself. A person who is kind to me. He didn't say much, but changed the subject and asked about Dongxing and Wanyan. Originally, I was going to find Tongtian Buddha first. It's just that something happened to Dongxing and Wanyan. The 2 of them had to be born into the eternal realm. Fix the pyramid, by the way. Now that the speed of repair is not enough, it can catch up with his shuttle universe. And don't bother rushing. He and Wuxia were eating and drinking inside. In a few days he left the ancient moon spacetime. Into the Badlands, where is the largest area in the northern time and space. There is no long river of time and space. It is said to be the other side, but it is desolate. Not to mention practitioners, there is not even a breath of life. Just some icy stones, drifting aimlessly in the void. The ancient moon spacetime is relatively close to the sky and the eternal realm. It only takes a few months to arrive. Going forward in the barren land is the most boring. Ordinary robbery powerhouses need several epochs to fly alone. The speed of the 2 of them is faster than that of the 8 Tribulations realm. In the entire northern time and space, I am afraid that no more than 10 people can be faster than this pyramid. So much so that those thieves who relied on intercepting and killing practitioners, who traveled through the barren land, did not dare to pay their attention. You don't need to read it. Knows that it is a super-existing flying treasure. Even if they were given 10 courage, they would not dare to kill them. After such a boring flight for several months, they finally reached the Eternal Realm. The opening of the Ancient Moon Era was because of the goddess, the First Lord of the Nine Tribulations Realm universe. Turn your own origin universe into one of the long rivers of time and space. And Tiansong Eternal World is different. This is the oldest tributary to evolve from. Later, because of the blessing and stability of an ancient existence, it became a huge eternal world. Will never end. There are also many powerhouses in the Eternal Realm, and they are gradually increasing, unlike the cultivators in the ancient moon time and space, who are bound to the goddess. Getting weaker. Now that the goddess has completely disappeared, the background of the ancient moon spacetime has declined again. If it weren't for the appearance of the god of life, perhaps the entire ancient moon spacetime would be heading for decline. This is also the distance from the eternal world. God, named after an eternal being. The forces of the entire Tiansong Eternal Realm are intricate. On the contrary, it is not as united as Guyu time and space. At least the ancient moon sect clearly unified the ancient moon time and space. There are 8 star sects in 9 days and 10 places. But Tiansong Eternal Realm did not do this. The ancient powerhouse, Tiansong, has the strength to unite the forces of the entire Tiansong Eternal Realm. End of this chapter. Chapter 5973. But he didn't. Because the Real powerhouse seeks power. This is the layout. In order to stabilize its position, the ancient moon god sect would only emphasize its position. Treat the ancient moon sect as a god. The solidification of the strong. On the contrary, it is not conducive to the strength of a long river of time and space. Tiansong Eternal Realm, from top to bottom. They are all fighting and killing. And the powerhouses in time and space are springing up like bamboo shoots after a rain. And tens of thousands of epics may be replaced. In these battles, the powerhouses of the 8 tribulations realm may fall. The fall of the 7 tribulations is even more common. The 6 forces in the eternal realm of the sky, except for the Tiansong Palace. Almost all of them have risen in recent times. Except for the Tiansong Palace, there is no power that can be spread all the time. Jian Wushuang and Wuxia came to Tiansong Eternal World this time, mainly due to 2 things. One is to repair the pyramid left by the metal light brain. The other is to find Dongxing and Wanyan. Whoa! The pyramid has entered the eternal realm of the sky without knowing it, and set off in the endless stars. The eternal world chose the universe as its framework. Continents are rare. Instead, there are more planets. On most planets, life is still mundane. The real powerhouses are all fighting in some secret territories. Looking at the different scenes, Jian Wushuang was quite curious. The eternal realm is really unusual. Looking at the space-time through space, you can see that it is much more stable than the ancient moon space-time. At least able to withstand the battle of the 8 tribulations realm. Not a battle, even time and space are destroyed. Wuxia, who has a lot of knowledge, smiled lightly. Actually, it's nothing. You will understand when you enter the world god continent in the future. These are all material worlds. Compared with the real world of rules, the eternal world is very fragile. Then you'll go to experience it in the future. Jian Wushuang nodded, and then asked the specific information about Dongxing and Wanyan. Wu Zuoshi said, the 2 brothers Dongxing and Wanyan actually got along pretty well. Back then, the old realm king sent them into a purgatory to stimulate their potential, and they soon became the masters of the universe. What kind of inheritance? Most of them are based on talent cultivation, built through the foundation of Qi Temple, and coupled with the opportunity of the old man Jiai. Their progress is extremely fast, but there have been some stagnation in these years, and encounters a lot of trouble. Trouble? Jian Wushuang knew that it was trouble for Dongxing and Wanyan, but a trivial matter for him, so he asked directly, I heard you say so urgently, are you being chased by the enemy? Almost, after the 2 of them entered the eternal realm, they joined the Gorfine Palace as the masters of the universe. Later, because of a mission, they were sentenced to the Gorfine Palace, and they have been hunted down for tens of thousands of epochs. Recently, the Gorfine the temple even sent a Seven Tribulations realm powerhouse to hunt down the two of them. Jian Wushuang was startled when he heard it, and said in amazement, "With such a big hand, he sent 7 Tribulation realm powerhouses to hunt down the 2-6 robbery realm masters of the universe?" Gorfine Hall, he had heard of it. A new superpower. It is not the 6 peak forces in the eternal realm of Tiansong. However, this Gorfine Hall master is also the #1 character. He is the new master of the universe in the 8 Tribulations realm, and his combat power is very good. The background is also relatively mysterious, as if it has an inexplicable relationship with the Tiansong Palace. Then find their place first. Jian Wushuang's mind moved, and with the pyramid as the core, a thought force containing cause and effect burst out. He begins to search for Dongxing and Wanyan, Heavenly Eternal Realm, Valley Thousand Mercury Domain. This star field belongs to the edge of the eternal realm of the sky, and it is very close to the barren land. It is a necessary place for many foreign practitioners to go to the eternal realm of the sky. Because of the large flow, this place is also mixed. From time to time, there are some strong men in the realm of 7 tribulations, and the master of the universe in the realm of 6 tribulations is also very common. Most importantly, this is a place where no one cares. Less oil and water, mixed personnel. It is not easy for anyone to come, and all the forces are disgusted by this, and there is not even a strong stationed in it. Because of this matter, this place has also become a holy place in the eternal world of the sky. Some powerful people wanted by the big forces all drilled here. Because of this, Dongxing and Wanyan hid in the Qianshui star territory. And it's on the 1000 Mercury. 1000 Mercury star was refined by a powerful person, comparable to the size of a universe. There are many strong people inside, and they come from everywhere. It is the core of Qianshui star territory. Outside Qianshui city, the sight of hundreds of millions of practitioners entering and exiting together is extremely spectacular. Among them, the inconspicuous 3 people moved slowly in the crowd. 2 men and 1 woman. The 3 quietly entered Qianshui city, following the flow of people. After entering the city, the 3 did not stop, and followed the sparse crowd into a hutong. It is said to be a hutong, but on this path, there are thousands of poor houses. Some of these cave houses are for rent. The 3 randomly went to a low door, took out some cosmic crystals, and entered a cave. Although the cave house is a bit shabby, the space is not small, covering an area of tens of kilometers, with gardens and courtyards. After entering the cave, the 3 of them did not relax either, but after checking the large formation in the cave mansion, they set up another large formation, and let out a sigh of relief. It's finally here. The mighty figure among the 3 took off his hat, revealing his scarred face, and sighed. 3 days. It only takes 3 days. The senior who is in contact with me will come to pick us up, and then we will be able to leave the eternal realm of heaven. The scarred-faced man said in a deep tone. Don't be careless, although any senior doesn't know our details, but you know the intelligence system of the Gorfine Palace. Even if this is Qianshui City, there will be a lot of eyeliners. Let's not talk about this. When we return to the ancient moon time and space, it will be really safe. The woman among the 3 was very curious about Guyu spacetime. Wanyan, what are your plans when you arrive at Guyu spacetime? Thanks, you'll know when the time comes. As I said, we have a big secret. Wanyan smiled lightly. The scar-faced man also smiled when he heard it. They are all waiting for the moment to return to the ancient moon spacetime. Except for the woman, the 3 of them were Dongxing and Wanyan, whom Jian Wushuang was familiar with. It's just that Dongxing, who used to be brave in the past, has more scars on his face. And Wanyan also lost an arm. This is a camouflage, and it has really hurt a lot. The 2 of them took the woman and fled all the way, and met many strong men who intercepted them in the Gorfine Palace. It can be said that it took all risks to reach this 1000-water city. Brother Dongxing, how much confidence do you think the 2 of us will return to the Qi Temple with our current strength? Wanyan didn't shy away from any woman, so she said it directly. https:// Please remember this book's first domain name. Apex Novel Mobile Version Reading URL. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.